Aloha! Sorry, I was doing like a double check to make sure that everything was running smoothly because I had to unplug everything earlier and replug it into the new surge protector, so. Hey Mandy, hey Firedale. Why are you redeeming a save? We haven't done anything yet to save. The Sleepy Dragon says hi, Mandy and Althemia. Hello, Sleepy Dragon. Is that why you redeemed the save? We haven't done anything worth saving. Oh, jeez. Did not mean to do that. Let's load the data. Get into it. Your Honor, the defense, the prosecution. I would like the right to cross-examine this witness. Bailiff, please arrest Mr. Cuthbert. I am holding him in contempt of court. What did I do? Dragon, she has to play first. Yeah, exactly. I have to play first. Wait. You didn't really think this through, did you? Instead of following his orders, the bailiff walks over to the judge's podium and whispers something into his ear. What? I see. Very well, then. What are they saying? It appears that Miss Steelwind has somehow predicted that this would happen. In accordance with her wishes, Mr. Cuthbert may act as the prosecutor in her stead. What the hell? You can't be serious. I am honestly just as surprised as you are, Miss Tamora. But Miss Steelwind has apparently designated him as her stand-in. Okay. It's unorthodox, but it's also legal. You recall something strange Steelwind asked you earlier today. So, what would you do if one of your clients was guilty? I suppose I'd withdraw and tell them to find another lawyer. And if no one else would represent them? I don't know. It would definitely be a hard choice for me. But I would never be able to represent them if I knew the truth. I just can't stand by and let a murderer escape justice. I see. Steelwind, did she somehow know this would happen? Well, this isn't how I expected the trial to go. Shortly after you barged onto the prosecutor's table, Celeste awkwardly followed behind you. Curiously, she only did so after the bailiff didn't arrest you. I guess we're really doing this. What's wrong? This feels weird. We're on the other side of the courtroom. I guess it would feel weird for, like, being on the opposite side when you're so used to being on the other side. Hang on, let me check something. Let me check something. La-di-da-di-da-da-da-da-da. Okay. I mean, this is where the prosecutor is supposed to stand. No, this feels way too jarring. Ruby, can we switch tables? Can we switch tables, Lamau? What? Please ignore her. No, this is way too weird. Tyrion, get her to switch with us. Scaled Lord Celeste. For the love of, I genuinely do not care. Cuthbert can have this side if he wants it so badly. With that out of the way, let's resume proceedings. Assuming that we're all at our preferred spots. We are, Your Honor. As much as you hate to admit it, you are more comfortable here. Not that you want to encourage her. With all of these interruptions, I think it best to review the proceedings up until now. The prosecution proposed that Beatrice Frega's motives for the murder was to claim the victim's inheritance. However, the defense brought forth a witness who testified that Beatrice was disinherited by her father 5 years ago. Am I correct, Miss Tamora? You are, Your Honor. Very well. Considering the circumstances, I think it's best to have Lady Freyga repeat her testimony. Bailiff, please escort Lady Freyga to the stand once more. Miss Freyga, could you please give your testimony to the court once more? Of course. One day, we all woke up and discovered that Beatrice had fled from our home. She left a note for us, and in it, she renounced her name and denounced my father. My father, later called me and my sister into his study. He told us that he'd completely disowned Beatrice and removed any claim she had to the Freyga estate. It was probably a threat to us in case we ever choose to go down the same path she did. He wanted to make an example out of her. This all happened 5 years ago. So your father disinherited Beatrice shortly after her departure. Yes, he did. As such, Beatrice would have no motive to murder her father. Any inheritance she could have received would be long gone by the night of the murder. Is that really true, though? Cross-examination! Okay, I wanted to do this one. It seems like a drastic reaction to her simply leaving her home. My father and sister already had many disagreements before this. He'd made it clear that he wouldn't tolerate her many acts of insubordination. I imagine that this was the last straw for him. Well, that sounds in character for him. Would William Freyga really do something so extreme? Regardless of his personal feelings, House Freyga holds a lot of financial and political power. Would he really change his inheritance so haphazardly? Okay, this... That must have been difficult for you and I don't remember how to pronounce the name. Life. It was. Guess what I forgot to do? Whoopsies! 1 second. I'm gonna do it now. Forgot to reconnect the thing. There we go. Voila. My father wanted everything to be his way, and anyone who didn't comply was punished. And that's a terrible way to treat anyone, much less his own family. If this happened shortly after Beatrice fled, you must have been less than 13 years old at the time. I can't imagine how that must have been. But can we really trust your testimony if you were only a child at the time? I remember it vividly. My father's words, the look on Laif's face when she realized Beatrice was gone. I even remember the way the sun was shining through the window that morning. It was all my fault. I remember that moment with clarity. My father made sure of that. It sounds like a painful memory for her, and she seems to falsely blame herself for what happened. It'd be best not to press her more than necessary. You felt it while you were watching from the gallery. A part of her testimony doesn't match with what you learned from your investigation. It must have been something Aloha told you. Let's check the evidence real quick, since it's been a good minute. Okay, let's check her testimony. After his meeting with Beatrice Freyga, William Freyga retreated into his study and locked himself in his study. He refused to speak with almost everyone who tried to disturb him. The only person he spoke to was Laif Freyga. She told him about the theft of the sword, of spell eating. Why do you sound so sleepy? Because I didn't sleep last night. I didn't sleep last night, and the only time I got sleep was about, I want to say, 2 p.m. And then I just woke up around 7 p.m. So, I guess that's why. She told him about the theft of the sword of spell eating a little after 1 a.m., but William didn't seem to care and returned to his business. Through Lafayette's thoughts, I keep wanting to call her Lafayette. You guys can tell? Whoopsies. Ellie always gets good sleep. What you talking about? Don't lie, Dragon. You know good and well I do not get a good sleep. I keep wanting to call her Lafayette. That's why I'm like, Lafayette. Through Lafayette's thoughts, you know that he entered the study to make some sort of adjustment to his will. Okay, so... She left us a note, my father... So, my father... Beatrice study. So probably this one? I don't think that was right, because the music's still playing. Yeah, that ain't right. That... Do it, call her Lafay. Yeah, that's what I... Because I'm like, I don't know. It's something about the way how her name's spelled. I just want to call her Lafayette. And I'm like, no, there's not even an et in there. So I'm just going to call you Lafay. It's your name now. Okay, maybe there's something else that... Oops. Didn't mean to click that twice. Oh, whoops. Whoopsie daisies. Now, I wanted to go through the stuff a little bit more. Rats and events, Celeste's sword, armbands of intellect, the other thing that was stolen. Haraldsson's security, William Frega's inheritance. Beatrice Frega fled from her family 5 years ago and went into hiding until the night of the murder. Many of her friends and family members hadn't seen or heard from her. On the night of the murder, Beatrice finally returned to her home. She arranged a meeting with her father's meeting Endless plan, and Beatrice angered William Frega enough for him to declare... Yeah, okay, there. That one, probably. Disowned Beatrice. Okay, so let's try this. There we go. I was on the right track. Miss Frega, it's clear that you're regretful of how your eldest sister was treated. That guilt must have eaten at you for all these years. I call her F, but that's just because I calls it like I sees it. I'm just gonna call her Lafay. Cuthbert, I know you don't have a good history with the witness, but you shouldn't rub salt in her wounds. I was merely pointing out the witness's personal connection to defendant, Mr. Mora. She clearly regrets still standing up for her sister all those years ago, so perhaps she's trying to make up for that by lying to protect her. Excuse me, I did nothing of the sort. Miss Frega, you testified that your father disinherited Beatrice 5 years ago. However, I have testimony from another witness who spoke with the victim on the night of the murder. After Beatrice's meeting with William Frega, he openly declared that he would be removing her from his will. He even entered his study to draft a new one to reflect that decision. So that raises the following question. Why would the victim need to declare that he was disinheriting the defendant? It doesn't make sense if he had already disinherited her 5 years ago. Is that so? Well, who did you hear this from? It's clear that they had no understanding of my father's estate. They had no understanding? Miriam, this testimony came directly from your sister, Lafay Frega. What? And she should have also been present during this alleged meeting 5 years ago. Well, she must be mistaken then. Your Honor, how can we trust second-hand testimony from a witness who isn't here? Wouldn't it make more sense to have Lafay give her testimony directly? I must agree with you, Mr. Mora. Lafay Frega should be allowed to clear up this misunderstanding. She looks way too confident. What is she planning? You're not sure if it was intentional, but Miriam's testimony was false. Could she be lying to protect Beatrice? And if so, is Mr. Mora expecting Lafay to do the same? Like leaf, except with a long A instead of a long E sound. Leaf? Leaf? I'm just gonna call her LaFay. Miss Frege, when we spoke earlier, you mentioned that your father decided to disinherit Beatrice. And he decided this after their meeting on the night of the murder. Is that correct? Yes, I did say that. You see, LaFay, Cuthbert doubts the testimony given by your younger sister. He seems to think that she committed perjury. What? I'm gonna go so far as to say. Yep, those desks get spanked more than a happy masochist. Moving on. Witness, lying under oath is a serious crime. It would have harsh consequences, even for someone of your sister's status. No, she couldn't have. Wonderful. Are you saying that you can corroborate your sister's testimony? Mr. Moore, you can't just intimidate the witness. I have no idea what you're talking about, Cuthbert. I'm just telling the witness what may or may not happen depending on what she does next. The choice is ultimately hers. So, LaFay, assuming Miriam wasn't lying under oath, could you please testify to the court to confirm what your sister said? Yes, of course. You see, Miriam was quite young when my father called us into his study 5 years ago. She didn't understand what he was really doing. My father would often lie to us. It was one of the many ways that he kept us in line. The encounter that Miriam described was just another one of his lies. Despite their disagreements, my father would never disinherit Beatrice without a good reason. He always held on to the possibility that she would become desperate enough to return home. Can we talk about how Allie just ignored your whole statement? I did indeedy. The truth is that none of us knew what my father was planning for House Frege's future. Whew. See, Cuthbert, the truth is much more complicated. No one could have really known what William Frege was planning for his estate. LaFay is definitely trying to cover for Miriam, and Miss Mora is playing like a fiddle. Luckily for you, she's not the only person that gave her statement to you. Father would often lie. The encounter that Miriam described was just another one of his lies, despite his disagreement. To be married. The truth is that none of us knew what my father was planning for House Frege's future. Ah, wait, but she did. She did. Miss Frege, did you really have no idea about House Frege's future? No, I didn't. My father made sure that, as I told you, he had many secrets and wasn't above lying to manipulate us. But with Beatrice gone, you would have been the one to inherit your father's estate. Would you really be ignorant of your father's plans for House Frege? Unfortunately for you, I don't think you'd be that careless. In fact, I have it on good authority that you knew exactly how William's inheritance would be divided before that night. What? LaFay, according to Lloyd von Sanctus, you were arranged into a diplomatic marriage with his son. You expressed resistance to this arrangement, am I correct? I have no reason to comment on that matter. Cuthbert, the witness's personal matters are hardly any of our business. Yes, I must ask that you keep this discussion relevant to the case. Your Honor, LaFay's resistance to this marriage is exactly how I know that her testimony is false. She was extremely averse to this marriage, and because of that, she made sure to know every detail about how it would affect her and her house. And that includes how House Frege would be inherited by her future husband. So that raises the question, LaFay. If you already knew the intricate details of this marriage, why would your father tell you that he was disinheriting your sister? That statement would only make sense if Beatrice was already in his will beforehand. That would render Miriam's testimony false and constitute a motive for the defendant. You present a decent argument, Cuthbert, but your claims rely on one assumption. And what assumption would that be, Miss Tamora? Even if he was lying, the victim declared that he was revoking Beatrice's inheritance. She must have already been named in the will previously. Otherwise, there would have been no need for him to say that. It wouldn't make any sense otherwise. And that's where your assumption is. You're assuming that William Frege was acting logically. What are you talking about? It's clear that William Frege was extremely controlling of his daughters. By your own admission, LaFay Frege was resistant to the marriage arranged by her father. In addition to that, a few months ago, Miriam Frege found herself warped in a controversy regarding the Nightgrave trial. And finally, to make matters worse, Beatrice Frege, the prodigal child, finally returned and made a public appearance during the Lord's Ball. What are you trying to insinuate? In his eyes, William Frege's ability to keep his daughters in line was clearly weakening. He must have gotten desperate and made a grand declaration in a feeble attempt to scare you, LaFay. Even if that declaration was clearly inconsistent. But he wouldn't. Your ability to remember must be muddled by the shock of your father's death. His statement couldn't have possibly been true. If by some chance it were, that would make you guilty of perjury. Or perhaps it was Miriam that was lying in her testimony. If your father's statements were true, the court might be inclined to investigate her for lying on the stand. Miss Tamora, are you threatening her? As I said before, I am merely stating the facts. The witness is free to act as she sees fit. I'm just asking her to consider the potential consequences of what she says next. What do I do? Damn it, she's pressuring LaFay to side with her. She's clearly conflicted, though. Isn't there anything you can do? You feel a sense of clarity when you look at her. Is that Horace reacting to her stress? You wonder. I'm sorry. I need time to think. Please don't stare at me like that, Mr. Cuthbert. Wait a minute. No, wait. It's too late. Empowered Eye. You did it. You activated the Empowered Eye. There has to be something in her mind that you can use. The state of her father's inheritance is the backbone of your case. Is there anything in her mind that can definitely prove what was on his will? Okay, let's start with this. As much as I hate to admit it, this trial is a perfect opportunity to back out of the arranged marriage. Von Sanctus's holdings are weakening by the day. I doubt he'll be able to put up much resistance. And once Beatrice inherits the estate, we might be able to rebuild our family. She's assuming that Beatrice will inherit House Frege. That confidence must mean that she's certain of what was in William's will. But how do you prove that? Beatrice, after all these years, you finally returned. I can't believe that this is how things have ended up. If only I was strong as you, I'd be able to endure this. You didn't get any leads from that. You should try something else. This family's been through a lot and it quite hurts. What? Why am I thinking about this? Oh, that didn't do anything. Seems like someone is a little bit pissed. Just a bit. Okay, yeah, did that. What about the autopsy? Father, I know we had our differences, but I did love you, and I never wanted you to die. She seems genuinely surprised and regretful about his death. From your encounter earlier, you know that Beatrice had an accomplice, but you doubt it was LaFay. Nope. The manner, method of entry, rats and events. What about this? How did both of the swords find their way into Beatrice's room? Could Tracker have? No, Miss McCoy's sword is one thing, but he couldn't have possibly broken into the Haraldson Gallery. Although, he was extremely fixated on it. What? Does she know how Celeste's sword was taken? As much as you want to follow that lead, it will be all for nothing if you can't turn the trial in your favor. You should try something else. Armbands of intellect. Nope. Any spells? Nope. Let's try profiles now. Let's try Miriam. Why would Miriam say those things? Am I misremembering what happened? No, I would have remembered something like that. She must be trying to protect Beatrice. So Miriam's testimony was a conscious lie. Beatrice's inheritance wasn't revoked until the night of the murder. Okay, we got some things. Nope. Hey, Jay. Oh, hydrate. Thank you for the hydrate. Let's start again. That's autopsy, not the lockdown system. Murder weapon? No. What about the spells? Nope. It's just the one thing that we need, and I don't know what it is. I'm about to start clicking. Clicking on everything. Is your own testimony? I need to make sure that I tell the truth without harming Miriam or Beatrice. Beatrice couldn't have possibly done this, and I'm sure Miriam also has her reasons. They couldn't rely on me back then, but they can now. Okay. Security. Intellecty. Nope. Ah. What about creepy guy? The one from the last case. Or creepy guy. Oh. Did it wrong. No! Where is it? Oh, my stars. I ain't fully here. That's for sure. Because, if he was from the last case, then he's probably not involved with this case. Method of entry, murder weapon, lockdown system. Oh, wait, earrings of vitality. I forgot that was something different than my attorney badge. The one with the robot? Oh, he ain't much right now for this case. He's only involved because his son was supposed to marry the second daughter. And that's about it. I'm running out of things to click on. We already got that one. Huh. Huh. Oh, who's confused? Me. Okay. I gotta... Do I not have a piece of evidence? Because if I don't have a piece of evidence, that would quite literally suck. Huh. I don't... Ruby Tamora. I've heard stories about her. I never expected Beatrice to hire someone like her. I wonder if she'll be at the will reading tomorrow. A will reading? She must be talking about William Frega's will. Oh, I got it all. Really? It was Ruby? I didn't think Ruby had anything to do with this. I believe you've had enough time for deliberation, Mr. Cuthbert. Are you able to prove the defendant's motive or not? I'm not, Your Honor. At least not yet. It's clear we won't get anywhere until we can confirm the state of William Frega's will. And we can easily confirm that tomorrow morning. When William Frega's will is read to his family. How did you... I see. Once his will is read, it will become public record. I suppose I have no choice but to suspend this trial until such time that William Frega's will is read. Oh, I wanted it to be the monkey. I did click on the monkey. This is ludicrous. The case against my client is completely outrageous. We spent the entire court proceedings arguing if her motive even exists. The prosecution has very little evidence that physically implicates my client. Miss Tamora, you clearly don't believe that the defendant had anything to do with the murder. Of course I don't. She's completely innocent. Well, if your client didn't murder the victim, who did? You sneaky little... Your Honor, with no other suspects, are you in a position to pass a verdict? No, I am not. Mr. Cuthbert is correct. The court does not have enough information to pass a verdict. Until the Inquisition has time to investigate these new developments, I will be suspending today's trial. We will resume the trial tomorrow afternoon. Court is adjourned. Sorry, Mom. Well, that happened. Sorry, I kind of acted without thinking. But out of everything that happened today, I can't believe that Steelwind somehow knew you would do that. Right, that is strange. Did she seriously predict what I do off of that one conversation? Considering how things turned out, you suppose she was right on the mark. But that was still a big leap of faith. Anyways, we have some time to ourselves. When the gavel breaks, I'm going to laugh. If the gavel does break, it's probably going to break at the last court case. I'd very much like to catch up on Slim Sleep. Yeah, today's been exhausting for a lot of reasons. And your work has only started. You have no idea who Beatrice's accomplice was. The real reading was just an opportunity to stall for time. So the question remains, who really murdered William Frega? What the hell was that? Why is your son filling in for Arya? Listen, I have the situation under control. If that's true, I'd hate to see a situation you consider out of control. Eris, my father is not pleased with today's developments. You promised that the verdict would be passed before William Frega's will became public record. And this has thrown quite the wrench in our plans. I understand. Cuthbert is just confused, but he's not a threat to us. We'd better hope you're right, Tamora. Or else your poor ward might suffer the same fate as Prosecutor Steelwind. What? House Frega is too important of a prize for us to let go. Bring us results, Tamora, or else we'll continue to take more drastic measures. The fuck is going on here? What the fuck, Richard? You threatening my mom? Won't threaten you. For the first time since the Lord's Ball, you're finally able to get some sleep. And for some reason, I'm hungry, so I'll be right back. I'm gonna go warm up some food real quick. Tee. I like how Cuthbert finally gets some sleep and so does my VTuber model. Ow. Ow. IDK, but creepy lady can go back into depths of hell from where she has come, or from where she has come from, and her father both, because he is clearly Satan. He's clearly Satan. Chase. You woke this morning feeling refreshed, but also a little anxious about the results of the will reading. You arrive back at Frege Manor and see Beatrice, Lafay, Miriam, and von Sanctus have all gathered. Jeez. It's a bit loud in my ears. Along with Miss Mora, who is accompanying Beatrice as her attorney. You're not really sure what to say to her after everything you've done. The air still feels awkward to approach her and talk about this. Hang on, I got this. Thank you all for coming here today. As William Frege's close associate, I must express my deepest condolences for your loss. I think I speak for all of Wyverngard when I say, enough, just get on with it. Very well then. To get straight to the point, Lord Frege's will was magically sealed when it was given to me. He asked me, his executor, not to submit it to the courts for probate until after his death. Although I imagine none of us expected such a time to come so unexpectedly. Anyways, Lord Frege's assets include sole ownership of several banking houses throughout Wyverngard, 10 million gold in various investments. 10 million? 10 million gold? You can't even begin to imagine what anyone could do with even a fraction of that wealth. And lastly, sole control and ownership of the Frege noble house. The executor takes out a large envelope and uses a runestone to dispel the magical seal on it. I, William Frege, being of sound mind and body, do hereby declare this to be my last will and testament. I hereby give, devise, and bequeath all of my assets and property, both real and personal, to Jaden von Sanctus, provided that he enters into a legal and binding engagement with my daughter, Lafay Frege, within 6 months of the date of my death. What? That's... William must have added that addendum to prevent von Sanctus from trying to steal his empire. But a legal and binding engagement is predicted on Lafay accepting it. She clearly doesn't want to go through with it, so if she simply waited 6 months, von Sanctus wouldn't have any claim to the estate. In the event that von Sanctus does not enter into such an agreement within the specified time frame, my assets and property shall be distributed as such. All of House Frege will be divided equally among my children as per the laws of our kingdom. You're right. William Frege never disinherited Beatrice. This would make Miriam's testimony false. And since Beatrice would receive a portion of William's inheritance, she had a motive to commit the crime. You glance at Miriam. It's hard to read her expression, but something appears to be on her mind. Without a word, she walks out of the room, ignoring both Beatrice and Lafay. Lafay, on the other hand, seems to be in good spirits. Isn't this great, Beatrice? You can lead House Frege now, just as it should have been. Actually, about that. In light of recent events, I believe I should clarify one thing. As per the Slayer rule, if Beatrice Frege is found guilty in the current court case, her inheritance will be revoked and divided between you and your sister. I see. I shouldn't feel so happy for myself. That can't be all, can it? Surely William added a note of Lafay's obligation to marry my son. I'm not sure what you're trying to imply. Lafay Frege is an adult with legal autonomy. She is free to make whatever decision she wishes about who she legally marries. Now, if you'll excuse me. Wait, we're not finished yet! Sorry, Von Sanctus. Seems you just got played. You know, be at your package tomorrow. I got more things to, like, buy, but I can't buy them right now for my, whole desk stuff. To keep it organized and whatnot, and to stop Kalea from, like, unplugging my shenanigans. So, yeah. Come back here! I'd love to catch up with you, LaFay, but I was only allowed out of my cell to attend a reading. You notice an Inquisition Knight outside the door. He seems to be watching Beatrice intently. But don't worry, I'm sure once this misunderstanding is resolved, we can talk all we want about our family's future. Of course. A group of knights led Beatrice out of the manor, and LaFay follows after them, leaving you and Celeste alone with Miss Tamora. Oh, this is awkward. I can cut detention with a knife. About what I did. Look, I'm not angry, Cuthbert. Uh-oh. It was an extremely unforeseen situation, and stealing clearly puts you on the spot. You felt pressured to do something, and you made a rash decision. But I'm sure the court will understand if you withdraw. Wait, what? Cuthbert, you're not a prosecutor. You know that, right? Didn't you become an attorney to defend persecuted mages? But Beatrice is guilty. I saw it. I'm not going to argue about this again. You are going to withdraw. This is not up for discussion. You've always regarded and respected Miss Tamora, and you suppose that's always made you deeply scared of disappointing her. Perhaps she's right. She knows more about what's going on than you do, and she's still your mentor. You want to believe that. You really do. But deep down, you know that this is wrong. Miss Tamora may believe in Beatrice's innocence, but you can't just abandon this case and let her escape justice. Your hands are trembling. Why are you so scared right now? You know what you have to say, but the words won't leave your mouth. From behind you, you feel Celeste holding your trembling hand. It's warm and comforting. It's the same sensation you felt back then. Somehow, you can feel it through her hand. It's as if she's silently telling you that you know what you have to do. Your anxiety fades and you take a deep breath. I'm not going to do that, Miss Tamora. Hey, it's a smooth jazz. What? You said it yourself. Our court system needs a defense attorney and a prosecutor of equal power to keep things fair. That's not what I'm not going to withdraw. If you believe in Beatrice's innocence, and if you truly believe you're on the right side, then prove it by beating me. Fine. Do what you want, but you're only going to make things harder for everyone. Poor Tyrion. Let me just devour food real quick before we continue. So how's everybody's day, besides the fact that a hurricane's coming? Sounds like normal news for us here. Oops, sorry about that. I hit my mic. I know you want your package. Maybe it'll get here tomorrow. The hurricane's not predicted to hit until tomorrow night. So maybe there's a chance still. That's how we know when it's gonna be bad here, when Waffle House actually closes. Exactly, Mandy. Okay, my new and truly done have me chowing down. Ow, my throat. Tyrion? As soon as Miss Tamora steps out of the room, your body drops to the floor. Whatever bravery you felt got replaced with an extreme amount of fatigue. Scaled Lord. And that's the first time I've ever spoken to her like that. But you still did it. You stood your ground. Figuratively, I mean, right now, you're kind of just sitting on the floor. Yeah, I need to take a moment. Can we go back to the ballroom? You return to the ballroom and take a moment to recover. You spot Commander White at the edge of the room, but you don't pay him much notice. It takes you a while before you feel ready to stand. You okay? Yeah, I just needed a moment. Anyways, the world reading bought us a few more hours to investigate the murder. We should take advantage of the new information we just learned. So, where should we start first? Alright, you're the prosecutor now. So that would technically make you his boss for the time being. This is weird, right? Yep. Awkwardness aside, I've never really led a task force before. What would Steelwind normally do in this situation? Well, she'd normally have us investigate areas of interest. Alright. The context of the investigation tends to change after each round of court proceedings. Well, we're lacking a lot of physical evidence. Could you and the Inquisition search the gallery in Beatrice's room? Perhaps you can find evidence of how the sword of spell eating was stolen. Whatever you say, boss. That covers the Inquisition, but what are we going to do? It's clear that Lord Frega's inheritance plays a large role in this case. Even if it's not valid, we should take a look at the modified will that he was drafting. It might give us some insight about what he was really planning to do with his inheritance. I wonder if California knew that rule. Does California have Waffle Houses? I thought Waffle House was an East Coast thing. I want to go... not there. There we go. Come on, where is it? As you enter William Frega's study, you spot a figure rummaging through the drawers in his desk. Why isn't it here? Where else would he put it? IDK, California did get a hurricane. And, what? And an earthquake. And then in Hawaii, Maui dealt with a volcanic stuff. Now it's Florida's turn. Miriam? What? As soon as she notices you, Miriam quickly closes the drawers and walks towards you. But you already saw what she was doing. She is definitely looking for something. This is a crime scene. What are you doing here, Miriam? As if that's any of your business. Considering that I'm the prosecutor, it's very much my business. You give a side glance to the knights stationed outside the room. They should have stopped her from entering, but perhaps she used her status to intimidate them into letting her through. However, this could be a blessing in disguise. She was clearly looking for something in this room. And do you have a feeling you know what it is? What the? 1 second. Okay, I'm back. You appear to be looking for something, Miriam. What could be so important that you disturb an active crime scene? It's none of your concern. I'm merely trying to find something that belongs to me. Really? Because I have a feeling that we might be looking for the same thing. You're looking for the will that your father was drafting, aren't you? That's... Were you trying to destroy it before we could get to it? No, of course not. I just needed to see it for myself. Did she really do this? Oh? Is she also suspicious of Beatrice? Why are you so determined to see the drafted will, Miss Frege? I just wanted to see what my father's final wishes were. Well, your father already had a will filed previously. Wouldn't that be enough? You also suspect something, don't you? Of course not. Beatrice would never do something like this. Miss Frege, I never even mentioned Beatrice. I know how things may look, but please understand, I'm just trying to get to the truth. I don't think your sister did this, but she may have been involved. She may have worked with someone else to orchestrate her father's death. Unlike LaFay, she didn't immediately deny it. This means that she already had her own suspicions. Where is the will, Miriam? I need to see it. I don't know. I haven't been able to find it. You recall that she was frantically searching William's desk earlier. She probably is telling the truth. It should have been here, but I can't find it. He unlocked the door when he began drafting it. In addition to that, the Inquisition closed the area off after the body was discovered. And that means that someone took it during the lockdown. It was probably stolen by whoever murdered him, right? Yeah, that would make the most sense. Which means that whoever did this wanted to nullify whatever was written on it. It's looking more and more like the motive behind this was William's inheritance. Anyways, it looks like we won't be able to find a will. But the fact that it was taken must imply something. For now, we should follow our other leads. There's also the question of who committed the murder and how. Don't we already know the how? The murderer stole the sword of spell eating and used it to break into the study. That's true, but think about how they would have needed to move around the manor. The murder took place on the first floor from William Frege's study, but the gallery was on the second floor. They would have needed to go upstairs, steal the sword from the gallery, and then use it to nullify the lock on the study. Oh, all three of the kids' rooms were right here. Not only that, they would have needed to go back upstairs and plant the sword in Beatrice's room. About that, if someone conspired with Beatrice to do this, why would they plant the sword in her room? And that's a good point. Perhaps they had a falling out. Her partner might have tried to betray her by pinning the blame on her. But if that were true, why wouldn't she just sell them out and make a deal with Steelwind? It would be because of the Slayer rule. Slayer rule? I remember the guy at the will reading also mentioned that. What is it? It was a law passed by the Crown centuries ago. According to that law, if someone is involved in another person's death, even accidentally, they would not be allowed to inherit the deceased's property. They do have a Waffle House? Like, yes. I was wrong. I legit just thought Waffle House was an East Coast thing. So even if Beatrice wasn't directly responsible, she'd lose her cut of the inheritance if she took a plea deal. More importantly, it doesn't sound like Miriam completely believes in Beatrice's innocence either. If that's true, what else can she tell you? Miriam, it almost sounds like you suspect Beatrice as well. That's... Am I incorrect? I don't know what to think anymore. Why else would she threaten me? Yes, you Googled it. Perfect way to get information. Oh wait, she was threatened? Miriam, did Beatrice threaten you in some way? What? Of course not. Your testimony yesterday was quite convenient for the defense. It almost got the whole case thrown out. And LaFay didn't seem to understand what was going on either. With the way she gave her testimony yesterday, it was almost like she was covering for you. Does she seriously not know? I mean, does he seriously not know? Please, promise me that you won't tell anyone about this. I won't tell anyone. What happened? About an hour after the murder, I was approached by Ruby Tamora. She gave me a list of statements to give in my testimony. The statements weren't true, but she assured me that my status would protect me from any scrutiny. What? She had information that I had tried to keep secret, and she threatened to make it public unless I cooperated with her. No, she would never do that. I'm telling the truth. But please, you can't tell Tamora that I told you. She'll ruin me. The eye shows that her fear is genuine. She's not lying. I've seen that woman do all kinds of shady shit in cases I've worked. Forgery, bribery, blackmail, you name it. I'll bet you're just the same. A successful for the devil of defense attorneys. The rumors, they can't be true. You refuse to believe it. Hey, Tyrion, are you okay? Now is not the time to doubt yourself. There's too much at stake right now and you have a job to do. We should check on Commander White. He might have found something. Okay. Just don't push yourself, okay? Yeah. You have plenty of time to think about this later. Wait, hang on. Can I ask? No, I can't ask her what the thing was. Where would he be? I guess he'll be in here. I was about to say the other location ain't here. You enter Beatrice's bedroom and see the Inquisition combing through it. It looks like their search is focused under her bed. Oh, hey kid. Commander, we're still doing a deep search of the room, but we're not done yet. You should probably come back later.
Repario Arcanum.
Nope, can't sense poopy. Okay, so I guess we'll go back to sitting room. As you move around the manor, you peek into the sitting room to see if Von Sanctus is still there. Who are you? Just keep your axe over there, kind sir. You don't see him there, but you spot another individual. He's calmly reading some sort of book, but you can feel a menacing aura emanating from him. Well, you're a nobleman. Apparently, because that's your name right now. You're a nobleman with a big-ass axe. Got an axe to grind? This aura. You must be daft if you think I wouldn't notice your presence. Okay, hands up, man. I just walked in. What? Did he notice you? You barely entered the room. Before you have a chance to respond, the man pulls out his great axe and rushes towards you. Well, wait, You bring up your arms to block his blow, but in hindsight, that probably won't do much against an axe that large. Protegus. You open your eyes. Celeste is now standing between you and the axe-wielding maniac. You're not sure what happened, but it looks like she knocked him several feet backwards. Ah, bro. The googly ass. You can't kill me. I got googly eyes on, man. They're like my protectors. Oh, it's you two. What the hell was that? You could have killed him. You shouldn't have snuck up on me like that. I almost cleaved him in two. What do you mean snuck in? I just walked in. Tyrion didn't do anything wrong. Who the hell do you think you are? I am Lord Lucio Steelwind. Grand You're Arya's dad. Grand General of the Wyvern Guard military forces. That explains a lot. You don't look anything like your daughter. Yeah, this is Arya's dad. Jeez, he's old. 76. How old would he have had been to have her? Man, he's old enough to be a grandpa by now. Occupation, Grand General. It doesn't even call him a nobleman. It just calls him Grand General. So this is Prosecutor Steelwind's father. They do share the same intimidating stare. What happened to your eyes? One has a slash and you have an eye patch on. I want his axe. He does have a pretty cool axe. I would just prefer if he didn't swing it at my head when I barely take a foot in though. Although, he's not the most menacing person in the room right now. Celeste, it's fine. I'm not hurt. She looks more than irate right now, but she begrudgingly sheathes her sword. Anyways, Lord Steelwind was one of the people with a motive to murder William Frege. And as a fellow head of a pillar house, he might have some information about William and his affairs. Okay. If looks could kill. McCoy, one might misinterpret that look of yours as murderous intent. Aw, guess you do have some battle instincts after all. I honestly wasn't sure since you so obviously have a silver spoon stuck up your... Celeste. Such lack of respect and discipline. If you were one of my soldiers, I'd have you hung. If I was one of your soldiers, I'd hang myself. Okay. Let's all try to stay civil here. Lord Steelwind, you were here at the Lord's Ball when the murder occurred, am I correct? I was. Do you mind if I ask you some questions about what you saw that night? If that's okay with you. I suppose I must oblige, considering that my daughter has so unceremoniously thrust her responsibilities onto you. I'm sorry about what happened to your daughter. I'm sure that you're very worried. Humph. It's her own fault for exerting herself despite her injuries. Man, he's sad and scared. There ain't no anger there. Does he secretly care for her? And is acting like he doesn't care for her? Because Arya said they weren't on speaking terms. Even the bravest warriors know when to stay off the battlefield. How can you say that? Your daughter is trying to do the right thing. By prosecuting the heiress of House Frege, she had very little evidence to substantiate a conviction. If she wanted to strike a blow on a rival house, she should have been certain that her enemy would fall. But now, if Beatrice Frege is found innocent, any hopes of an alliance between House Frege and House Steelwind will be completely annihilated. It's clear that he and the prosecutor have vastly different priorities. Just a bit. Where were you throughout the night, Lord Steelwind? I so loathe gatherings like that. They're a complete waste of time. I was in this room, but then I received word that Lord Frege's lost heiress had made an unexpected appearance. She was supposedly speaking with the Crown Prince, so I made my way to the ballroom. Did you speak with them at any point? No, I kept my distance and stayed near the King's Guard. I needed to make sure she wouldn't try anything. Was this because you were wary of Beatrice Frege? Yes, I was. The Crown Prince has always been a bleeding heart, and the Freges are trained to sharpen their tongue from birth. I needed to make sure that she wouldn't try to interfere with his engagement. You were worried that she was going to try to take Aster back. I was, but it was clear that wasn't her intention. But you did overhear their conversation. What were they talking about? Their conversation was completely inane. It was just all small talk. Lady Frege spent most of her time playing with Prince Alaric. There we go. Alaric. Right, Aster's younger brother was there too. You know that Beatrice had some role in the murder, even if she wasn't directly responsible. Did she have some unknown goal by speaking with Aster and his brother? You went to the ballroom when you heard that Beatrice had returned. Was this before or after the lockdown? It was before the lockdown. That sounds about right. This means that she was accounted for before the theft was reported. And did you see her leave at any point? No, she spoke with the two princes for quite a while. She didn't leave their side until she was arrested for Lord Frega's murder. What? That means she was accounted for the entire night. But her thoughts said she was an accomplice in William's deaths. Maybe when she said accomplice, she literally meant accomplice. Oops. Sorry, I had to move my chair. She literally didn't do the murder. She did one singular thing that probably led to the murder. Was she there to distract the Kingsguard? Thank you for answering our questions, Lord Steelin. I'm merely repaying my daughter's debt to you. You're surprisingly pretty cooperative, but that doesn't lift any suspicion off of him just yet. You'll need to find more evidence if you want to know for sure. Anyways, we should probably move somewhere else. Let's go, Celeste. McCoy. What? Your spellcasting is undisciplined, but your battle stance and reflexes are commendable. You have my respect as a warrior. As if that means anything coming from you. What an undisciplined and defiant brat. Really, Celeste, he complimented you. That was basically his way of apologizing, I'm pretty sure. Let's move to Beatrice's room now. Keep it in the corner. Don't let it get away. Get away from him. As you enter Beatrice's room, you see the Inquisition cornering something near the back of the room. It's some sort of animal. Oh, hey, it's the wolf. Wait, is that? You recall spotting that same wolf on the night of the Lord's Ball. Has it been in the house since the murder? Intruders! Must protect Queen. What? Did you just read his thoughts? Protect territory from enemies. He must see the Inquisition as intruders in his territory. But does that mean he sees this room as his home? You slowly start to walk towards him. Wait, Tyrion. Stay back, kid. It's a wild animal. There's no telling what it'll do. You ignored him and continue to approach him. Don't worry, I'm not here to hurt you. Huh? This human, he can speak language of dog? Wait, you can understand me? Why are you talking to it? You're speaking plain dog, of course. Tracker understands. He's so cute! I want to hug you. Look at that face! What's going on here? Is Iron Horse allowing you to speak with him? You've never really tried it before, but perhaps your powers aren't limited to humans. Anyways, this could be a good opportunity. You wonder what else he knows. We're going to talk to a dog. Tracker, is that your name? How did you... Yes, Tracker is Tracker. That's the name Quaid can give me. So cute! Oh my stores! Occupation, dog. Tracker gestures to LaFay when he mentions his queen. He called you his queen. Do you know him, LaFay? Yes, but how? Why are you talking to it? That's... You were so caught up in speaking to Tracker, you didn't realize how strange the scene must look to everyone else. I'm a dog whisperer. You've never mentioned that before. You honestly expect us to believe something like that? But Tracker says he can understand him. He told me himself. Wait, how do you know that? So, LaFay, how are you able to communicate with Tracker? I suppose there's no sense in hiding it anymore. Tracker is my familiar. Oh, she has a familiar. Dude, her familiar is a wolf. Familiar. So it's the same magical bond Harold has with his monkey. You recall that the familial bond spell allows the caster to telepathically speak with their familiar. That must be how she's speaking to him. I didn't know if he was a familiar or just her pet. You never mentioned him during questioning. It wasn't relevant to the investigation. And I've been keeping him a secret from my family. I suppose that makes sense. I doubt William Frege would have allowed you to keep an animal in his home. Well, I don't appreciate you keeping this info from us, but it doesn't look like anyone got hurt. And aside from this dog, we haven't really found anything new. Damn it, we didn't find any more physical evidence of the theft. It looks like you've run into another dead end. Unless... Look how cute he is! And now you don't have to hide in the house no more. You can go exploring. You got good boy. Tracker, I saw you on the night of the murder. You what? Tracker. Ruh-roh. He's supposed to stay in this room. Wait, is that why you won't allow the servants to enter it? I didn't want to keep him in Beatrice's room.
Stay off my territory, Tracker. Althemia is mine.
Mele, you have to be nice and share me. We also have Kalea.
Yeah, we had the baby down here.
But he is very insistent that he stay here. Tracker likes the ambience. Alright. Wait, if you live in this room, did you see who brought the sword of spell eating here? I already asked him about that, but he didn't see anyone. He must have been taking a nap. Or he was outside, though I told him not to leave. Look at his face! He's like... "Rrrr." Damn it. Tracker sees a lot of other things, though. Tracker sees many new people that night. Alright, he was roaming the manor during the Lord's Ball. He must have seen a lot of new people. Wait, if he was walking around, he might have seen something that the Inquisition doesn't know about. Can you tell us what you saw on the night of the murder, Tracker? Tracker see rats. He's so cute. This may be more difficult than you thought. I need you to be more specific. Can you go in order? Tell me about everything you saw that night. Okay. Tracker was taking a nap in room, but Tracker woke up from loud sounds outside. Tracker hears small things running into walls. Running into walls? Tracker called Queen, but she didn't answer, so Tracker decided to check sound alone. Tracker followed sound outside. That's when Tracker smelled a bad smell. Bad smell? That's when Tracker smelled flying rat. A flying squirrel? You smelled a flying rat? Do you mean like a pigeon? Tracker could smell where a rat was, so Tracker borked at him. I love this stuff. Tracker must have scared Rat, because he fell onto the floor and dropped his stick. The rat had a stick? Tracker could see them now, so Tracker did one final bork to scare them off. The rats were scared and went back into the walls. It went into the walls? That's when Tracker picked up the stick Rat dropped. Queen finally answered Tracker. She told him to go back to his room and hide. After message, Tracker brings stick back to room for inspection. Do you remember what time this encounter happened? What is time? Alright, an animal wouldn't really have a concept of that. What did he say, Tyrion? Did he see anything? Well, he definitely saw something. Okay, let's try to take a moment to work through this. Tracker is an animal, and despite being able to speak with him, his use of words is very primitive. So you should carefully examine each of his statements. The first thing he heard was small things running into walls. What did Tracker hear when he woke up? You recall that someone else observed something similar that night. Tracker heard rats running into vents. Yeah, I don't think Mallow can say too many syllables. The servants were complaining about Firedale. The servants were complaining about rats running through the air vents, so they sent me to take care of it. I heard one of them running into vents upstairs, and I followed it here. I figured it had nowhere else to go, so I opened it up and put a trap down. He must have heard the rats that Jan mentioned. They weren't actually running into walls, they were running into vents. The next thing he did was call the Queen, but she didn't answer. Why didn't LaFay answer Tracker's message? He must have called out to her telepathically. Oh, wait. The familial bond was nullified by anti-magic field. Okay, yeah, you probably broke Mallow. Mallow's done with your shit. Hang on, let me see if I can fix Mallow. Let's see. What could be up with Mallow while you guys all look at... I want a refund on those last two, please, and thank you. I don't know if I can give you a refund. I cannot give you a refund, Firedale. I am very sorry. Also, I roar a Malesteed, even if it's not bark. I can do that. Hang on, I could make this work, kinda. There, I gave you some points back. I can't give you all the points back. Now then, let me see what you did to my poor Mallow. My poor Mallow. Okay. So then...
Bork.
There we go. Mallow fixed.
Bork bork with the bork bork and bork 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 and more bork bork and another bork.
Okay. LaFay didn't respond because she never got Tracker's message. The telepathic capabilities granted by Familial Bond were disabled by the anti-magic field, which means that this encounter happened during the lockdown. So that covers his first two statements. But you're not really sure what to make of the flying rat he saw. Tracker, why did you refer to the rat as flying? Because rats don't usually jump and fly. Yes, I got that. Is it possible that what you saw wasn't really a rat? Rats are rats. They're small things that run and hide. So a rat is a general term for him. He uses it to refer to small animals that are acting suspiciously. Anyways, with everything you know now, his last statement doesn't make sense. Why did Tracker finally hear LaFay? He said the queen finally answered him, and this happened after he picked up the stick. But that shouldn't have been possible after the anti-magic field. I think I know what it is, but I might be... The stick was actually... Tracker, about that stick you found. Where did you put it after you came back to this room? Tracker hides stick in a safe place, under the bed. And this stick, did it look like the sword that my friend is carrying? What? Hey, your friend stole my other stick. Oh wait, your other stick? Yeah, Tracker found out why he was hiding from the Metal Man. Metal Man? Is he referring to the Kingsguard? He must have left the bedroom when they were searching for the Sword of Spell Eating. Wait, are you the one who stole Celeste's sword? Tracker? Did Tracker do a bad? He's so cute. It's as I suspected. Tracker was the one that brought the Sword of Spell Eating here. What? I have no idea how or why, but the Sword of Spell Eating was lying in a hallway somewhere. Tracker found it and brought it back to Beatrice's room. His room. That can't be. So the person who framed Beatrice for the theft was... If it weren't for Tracker, the Inquisition would have never honed in on Beatrice at all. But why would the Sword of Spell Eating be lying in a random hallway? LaFay, do you mind if I borrow Tracker for a little bit? It's okay, Queen. He smelled good. Tracker trusts him. Thanks, I guess? Okay, but only if you allow me to accompany you. You know about Miriam's position, but how does LaFay feel about you prosecuting Beatrice? It's possible she might try to sabotage the investigation if you let her accompany you. But as Tracker's owner, you don't really have a choice. You nod to LaFay, but you also send a subtle gesture to Celeste to keep an eye on her. She silently nods and slowly follows behind her. Alright, Tracker, can you take us to the hallway where you found these rats? Sure thing, King. So I am King. You smell good, Althemia. Totally not in a creepy way. He's a doggy. That's a good compliment. He did why I
Althemia
bet.
smell good, too. She queen of me.
I suppose so. That's true, Mala. This has to be the only hallway. Hey, the vent's broken. You allow Tracker to lead you to the location where he found the sword of spell eating. Surprisingly, it's fairly close to Beatrice's room. He apparently didn't travel very far before he met those rats he mentioned.
Bork.
As you continue towards your destination, Tracker suddenly becomes extremely tense. Tracker? What's wrong? Enemy. Oh? Before you have a chance to react, Tracker steps between you and Eris and begins angrily barking at her. Oh dear. Tracker, stop that. LaFay tries to calm Tracker down, but he's
Bork,
undeterred.
I said bork.
Yes, Mallow, I hear you borking. Are you trying to scare Eris away too? He continues to bark at Eris, and it looks like it's taking all of LaFay's strength to hold him back. I'm terribly sorry, he's not usually like this. It's to be expected. I'm not sure why, but animals... I saw that. My animals have always disliked me. What is Eris doing here? You recall seeing her at the barracks, too. She said that her father is friends with Beatrice, but is she involved in this case somehow? Anyways, you came here for a purpose. You should examine this hallway and see if you can find any clues. Yeah, the broken vent. There's an air vent over here. It appears to go from the ceiling to the ground floor. Is this where the rat escaped to, Tracker? That's where Jumping Rat went. I thought you said it was a flying rat. Tracker see that too. Okay. It would probably be better just to move on. Anyways, where did this rat come from? Rat come out the other wall. Do you mean the vent on the opposite side? Yes, Tracker saw flying rat escape that way. What was this rat doing here in the first place?
Repario Arcanum.
Ah. What? What do you see? The vents have traces of illusion magic inside them. What? The traces also go deep inside these vents. It's the same for the vents on the other side too. Why would there be traces of illusion magic inside the vents? What spell could have possibly left those traces? As I told you many months ago, illusion spells tend to do one of two things. They either create freestanding illusions, or they can disguise an existing creature. I got someone created a small freestanding illusion in the vents, so a disguised creature must have been inside these vents at some point. But these vents are tiny. No one would be able to fit inside them. Tracker could see them now, so Tracker did one final bork to scare them off. The rats were scared and went back into the walls. But a rat would be able to fit in these vents. Well, yeah, I guess that'd be true. But that would mean that rat had an illusion spell active on it at the time. It's not only that. He said that the queen finally answered him, and this happened after he picked up a stick. But that shouldn't have been possible because of the anti-magic field. Tracker saw this rat during the lockdown. They would have been inside the anti-magic field created by the lockdown. There can only be one way that rat could have an illusion spell active on it. Wait, you can't mean that rat was holding the sword of spell eating. We got a dog's testimony. Yes, flying and jumping rat had stick. What? But how is that possible? A rat wouldn't have the strength or hands to carry the sword. Tracker's vocabulary is primitive and limited. He uses the word rat to describe small creatures that hide and act suspiciously. But even if it wasn't an actual rat, it still couldn't have been a human, right? You're right, it would have been a small animal. A small animal with the strength and dexterity to traverse a small air vent while holding a sword. Sorry, but I really have to ask. Is that monkey riding on your back? Yes, this is my familiar, Eugene. No, are you serious? We know that Harold had a motive to kill William Frege. He's planning to defund the Haraldson Hall of History. They had an argument that night, and that's when William Frege decided that he was going to defund Harold's museums. He must have stuck a deal with Beatrice, and with Beatrice's portion of House Frege, she could have easily kept his museums funded. He could have faked the robbery and sent his familiar to murder William. I can't believe this. And there's something else that Tracker said. Tracker could smell where Rat was too, so Tracker borked at him. Tracker must have scared Rat because he fell onto the floor and dropped his stick. The rat had a stick? Tracker, you said you had to smell to see where the rat was. And when he dropped his stick, you were finally able to see him. Does this mean you couldn't visually see him before he fell down? Yeah, Tracker couldn't see the rat with his eyes, so Tracker used his nose to see it. The monkey was invisible. No one could have noticed a small invisible animal. In addition to that, he moved through the air vents. Eugene would have been nearly undetectable that night. Beatrice is a master of illusion magic, so it's possible that she cast invisibility on Eugene. Oh, Katari! Clap both hands together. And then there's the position of this air vent. We're currently in the hallway just north of Beatrice's room. And this air vent connects to the ground floor. If we align the two maps together, this vent must lead to the storage room. Right, the air vents there were curved upwards. This must be where it leads. And according to Jan, that air vent led directly to William's study. It would have been the perfect route to enter William's study and leave undetected. But he wouldn't have needed to nullify the lock to enter that room. Why would he need to use the sword of spell eating at all? Because of familial bond, they can telepathically communicate with each other. Harold probably needed Eugene to hold the sword so he could tell him exactly where to go. The sword's magic effects. Anyone magically connected to the wielder and familial bond connects them magically. It makes sense now. Harold could have easily faked the robbery to take suspicion off of him. It's even possible that he was lying about how the display glass was shattered. But I've known Lord Haraldson for many years. I just can't believe that he'd be involved in this. She may have known Harold for a long time, but she's never read his thoughts. His thoughts were very hostile and rude, despite his kind expression. He's very good at hiding what he's truly feeling. And Beatrice, there's no way she'd participate in a plan like this. Look, LaFay, I know you don't want to suspect your sister, but it's not that. Beatrice would never trust anyone enough to work together like this. But she's completely blind. She wouldn't have much of a choice. Even so, she's not the type of person to trust her accomplice to stay quiet. She'd find a way to carry out a plan herself. And she'd only employ someone else's help if she had full control of them. LaFay probably knows her better than you do, but you doubt that working alone would be possible with her condition. And you can't think of any other way she'd be involved in this. Anyways, we're finished here, aren't we? Yes, thank you for lending trackers to us, LaFay. I only want to help you find out what really happened. Don't make me regret trusting you, Mr. Cuthbert. If you're truly on the side of justice, then you won't. Good. Now if you'll excuse me. So that's it, right? We finally know who really committed the murder then. And if you can get Harold to confess on the stand, he might reveal Beatrice's involvement as well. If he does that, you might be able to convince her and Miss Tamora to take a plea deal. Although, knowing Miss Tamora, that will be easier said than done. Anyways, this is definitely the lead that we've been looking for. But is it really enough? We still don't have any physical evidence. It'll have to do for now. We're running out of time. We'll just have to call Harold to the stand to testify about what he did that night. If I could push him far enough, I might be able to catch him lying. But you doubt it will be that easy. He has a good poker face. Just how much will he be able to hide his true thoughts? I already gave us my statement to the Inquisition. Is my testimony really necessary? Sorry, old-timer. My orders come straight from the prosecutor. We're going to need you on the stand today. I understand. I'll do what I can to help. Yep. I would like to save. Yep. Alright, car. Dip, 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 dip. Court is now resumed for the trial of Beatrice Frege. Let us review yesterday's proceedings. There is much debate over William Frege's inheritance. More specifically, it was unknown whether the defendant had any claim to her father's inheritance. This detail was crucial in determining whether the defendant even had a motive to commit the murder. Luckily, the victim's will was supposedly read earlier today, and is now a part of the public record. What were the results of the will reading, Mr. Cuthbert? William Frege was planning to leave all of his assets to Jaden von Sanctus, his hopeful son-in-law. However, this was predicted on the condition that Jaden married the victim's daughter, LaFay. And it's clear that Miss LaFay will never follow through on this engagement. If the engagement is not made in 6 months, William Frege's assets would be divided among his 3 daughters. I see. So there was no mention of the defendant's disinheritance. Correct, Your Honor. This means that the defendant did have something to gain from the victim's death. Your Honor, despite the confusion around the victim's inheritance, there is still very little physical evidence that implicates my client. May I remind you that Miriam Frege was not telling the truth in yesterday's proceedings? That itself is extremely suspect. And William Frege was clearly not above manipulation and lying. Okay, Mr. Morrow. Stretchy. Huh. I just noticed. Need more drink. You know how stupid I must have looked on the way home screaming, "It was the monkey!" No. No. I don't know how stupid you must have looked. I think it was funny earlier. I wanted to, in not this trial, but the previous day, I wanted to suspect a monkey, and well. Just give me 1 second, love bugs. Realize I ran out of drink, so I need to make more. You leaned away, didn't hear what you were saying about the previous day. Oh, my bad. I was saying how, the previous day in this game, where we first started stream, I wanted to present the monkey to see if it would trigger, like, thoughts in, I think it was, LaFay's, yeah, it was in LaFay's thing, and, whoops, I just peeled everything off of it. And, it didn't do anything, so I was kind of disappointed. But, well, it makes sense it wouldn't do anything. Because it wasn't her. I did. I was screaming, "It was the monkey, man! You can't trust the monkeys. They're smarter than they act." Have you seen the monkeys at the zoo? They'll act all cute and stuff to get you close to them, and then the next thing you know, you got a glob of monkey spit all over you. That's also true for llamas and alpacas. But yeah. Monkeys. Extremely fucking cute. Like, you just want to fact or poop. Which monkey is it that likes to fling its poop at the zoo? I forget what it was. They literally have like little nets now, I think, at our local zoo, just to keep the monkeys from flinging their poop at people. And it's only with one species of monkey, and I can't remember what it was. Any angry monkey. Monkeys throw poop too. Chimpanzees. It might be. I haven't been to our zoo in a long time, so I could be like completely wrong. But they literally have a net of only one species of monkeys to keep them from flinging stuff at the guests. And I thought that was so funny when I went to the zoo. Easy chimpanzees. Probably chimpanzees. Oh, something else I thought was funny while I'm still making my drink. Ah, it dripped on me. I thought it was also funny when, as soon as Tracker got involved, there's a dog in the Ace Attorney series called Bullet. And we actually used him as evidence too in a case in like one of the first 3 games, I think. And I think he came back up in one of the spin-offs, I think the Edgeworth game. And also in the game, we interrogated a parrot. So I think it's very funny that in this game, we got to talk to Tracker. And it makes me wonder if we get to interrogate Eugene too. I was right, I Google it. Google knows everything. Shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it, my drink. And I think, yeah, we had to interrogate a parrot in like the first game, the end of the first game in Ace Attorney. And I think that was also where we had Bullet, and we used Bullet the dog as evidence. I think his name is Bullet. Or his name is Radar. Radar or Bullet. I don't know which one it was. But anyways, let's just continue. You can't prove that she knowingly gave false testimony. I'll admit that I can't prove that. I also admit that there's a lack of apparent physical evidence to substantiate our case, which is why the prosecution would like to call Harold Haroldson to the stand. Lord Haroldson? The sword of spell eating clearly plays a large role in the murder case, and its theft is one of the few pieces of physical evidence in this case. As the gallery's curator, I believe he can further elaborate on how the sword was stolen that night. More specifically, you can find out about what he did on the night of the murder. I see. Well, the court would definitely benefit from his insight. Bailiff, please escort Lord Haroldson to the stand. I didn't even know he was a lord because he doesn't act like it. So, yeah, that caught me off guard. So, here's my question. Can we actually interrogate Eugene? Of course. Well, Eugene's not on his shoulders. I just noticed that. My name is Harold Haroldson. I am the owner and curator of Haroldsson's Hall of History, located in Homerhervith. That's quite the alliterative occupation. Harold, could you please testify to the court about how you discovered that the sword of spell eating was stolen? If it will help. You know what's going to be really messed up? If he really had nothing to do with it, and it was all Eugene and Beatrice. That would be crazy. I was keeping an eye on my gallery's exhibits when I realized that my familiar hadn't returned. I called to him telepathically, but he didn't respond. I became worried, so I went around the manor to search for him. About an hour later, I returned to the gallery and discovered that the exhibit that held the sword of spell eating was completely destroyed. The artifact was missing, so I reported the crime to the knights at the ball, and they activated a discreet lockdown. Luckily, we found the sword and my familiar later that night. You lost your familiar? So you went to search for your monkey, and that's why you didn't witness the theft? Yes, the thief was probably waiting for me to leave. They must have wanted to commit the crime without anyone seeing them. Or his testimony is completely full of it. His search for Eugene must have been a cover that he's using to hide his actions that night. So how do you prove that? I don't know. One statement did perk my ears, though. His statement just now is missing some details. But what should you ask him to elaborate on? How did you find your Eugene? We know how you found a sword. How did you eventually find Eugene that night? After an hour of silence, he finally responded to my telepathic messages. He met up with me in the gallery before he went to search for the sword. So this would have been after the theft was reported? How do you lose your monkey? He gave him too much free will, obviously. Yes. He would have had to pick up Eugene after he murdered Lord Frigga. And this must be an alibi they're using to account for the time that no one could see Eugene. Anyways, this detail could be extremely important. Please add it to your testimony, witness. Harold. Yes, of course, Harold. He says that he went around the manor to look for Eugene. Do you think he's telling the truth? Maybe. But his so-called search for Eugene gave him a good excuse to not be seen by anyone. It's a decent alibi, if not without its flaws. You just need to poke some holes in that alibi. He said he added stuff. I met up with him in the gallery room before they finally found the artifact. Wait. Oh, I was already on it. But you couldn't use. I presented the wrong spell. I presented the wrong spell. That's still wrong. Oh, wait. The bond isn't the issue. It's the fact that he couldn't leave the friggin' room. There we go. Harold, you found Eugene before you went to search for the sword of spell eating. This would mean that happened while the lockdown was still active, am I correct? Yes, as much as I was worried about the artifact, Eugene's safety was far more important. That's the thing, Harold. You said that after hours of silence, you finally received a telepathic message back from Eugene. A what? So that leaves one question. How did you communicate with Eugene telepathically if you were both within an anti-magic field? What? Harold, in response to the theft, the Kingsguard activated the lockdown system to prevent anyone from leaving. That same lockdown system would have placed an anti-magic field over every inch of that manor. The field should have suppressed telepathic abilities given to you by familial bond. You wouldn't have been able to speak with Eugene at all, so my first thought process was also correct. Just not the time. Mr. Cuthbert, are you accusing the witness of lying in his testimony? Please, Cuthbert is blowing this entire thing out of proportion. Anti-magic field is a resource-intensive spell. We can't assume that they managed to cover every inch of the manor, especially the areas that would only be accessible to a small animal. Mr. Moore, let's assume that Eugene managed to reach some sort of blind spot in the lockdown system. The magical telepathy, man, granted by familial bond, connects two people. Even if Eugene wasn't affected by the anti-magic field, Harold would be. That's very true. So how did I hear him that night? There's only one answer that makes sense, Harold. You did hear Eugene telepathically, because Eugene was wielding the sword of spell eating. What? I'm sorry, Mr. Cuthbert, but are you saying that the sword of spell eating was stolen by the witness's pet monkey? I am, Your Honor. It's the only way the witness's testimony makes sense. She doesn't have a rebuttal. You should push this while you still have a chance. Harold Haroldson, you were the one who stole the sword of spell eating, weren't you? And what reason would I have to steal something that already belongs to me? It was to take suspicion off of you because you were the one who had William Frege killed. You staged a robbery and used the sword of spell eating to make Eugene invisible. Then you sent him through the manor's ventilation system, all so you could have him murder William Frege in his study. Well done, Cuthbert. I suppose you just can't stop yourself from pursuing a lying witness. It's what I do best, Mr. Morrow. Of course. Witness, do you have anything to say in your defense? It's quite obvious, but I completely refute the prosecution's allegations. He's misguided, but he's just doing his job. You're expecting his thoughts to be hostile like before. Then do you also refute your statement about Eugene telepathically speaking with you? I know better than to lie on the stand to try to save myself. I can't explain how it happened, but I stand behind my testimony. You know, I honestly think he wasn't involved. It was just a fucking monkey. Bring Eugene onto the stand. Let me interrogate the monkey. Eugene did telepathically contact me during the lockdown, but how did he do it? Wait, so he doesn't know how that telepathic communication happened? Perhaps he overlooked it when he was planning the murder of Beatrice. And that's your position, Cuthbert, that the witness sent a monkey to murder William Frege. It may sound ridiculous, but it's the only thing that makes sense. Or do you have any evidence to refute that, Mr. Morrow? No, I fully and wholeheartedly agree with you, Mr. Cuthbert. Wait. Tyrion? Mr. Cuthbert, did you forget that you were prosecuting Beatrice Frege? Your Honor, even as a prosecutor, it's clear that Cuthbert just can't stop himself from finding the true culprit. Wait, I almost meant to say that the defendant conspired with the witness to commit the crime. Oh, really? And you have any proof of this conspiracy to commit? Of course, you don't. But even so. But let's assume that you did have evidence to prove your statement. If this was really a plot formed by my client and a witness, what would my client even contribute to this plan? From what you said, this plot was completely carried out by Lord Haraldson and his familiar. Well, the glass. He would have needed a powerful mage like the defendant to break the sword's display case and stage the robbery. So her contribution to the murder is breaking some glass. Can you prove that my client shattered the display case? And can you prove that she did so knowing that it would somehow lead to her father's death? You might have gotten a little too eager to prove Harold's guilt. The physical evidence against my client was almost non-existent in the first place. Meanwhile, it seems the prosecution has just brought forward physical evidence that implicates Lord Haraldson. Physical evidence that is supported by his own testimony. There has to be some explanation for this. Cuthbert, did you ask me something yesterday? If my client didn't kill the victim, then who did? I suppose I should thank you for finding the answer. Damn it, all you did was make it more difficult to prove your case. But Harold has to be involved in this. You weren't wrong about that. Only Eugene would be small enough to traverse the air vents. So isn't there anything else you can use? With the threat of indictment, Harold must be stressed. It's gotten you out of tight spots before. Maybe you can find the evidence in his mind. Humph. You can use every trick you have, Cuthbert. It won't help you. Ignore her. Calm your mind and focus the Eye of Horus on him. You have to find something. Anything that might tie the murder to Beatrice. Alright. Let's start with my usual of the fucker. It's truly a shame that Beatrice was driven to flee from her own family. If only I had introduced myself to her, perhaps we could have found a solution together. He doesn't know Beatrice? But how? She planned to murder with him. Unless... That didn't do much. Present us. What should I present now? I want to present this, actually. The armbands of intellect are still missing, but I inspected it closely before the Lord's Ball. They were still there when I moved them to Frege Manor. Someone must have stolen it during the ball. Alright, you never did find out what happened to the armbands. Could there seriously have been a second thief there? If there was really a second thief there, that was just bad timing to have a dang ball. I want to present the sword, but I feel like it's too obvious. What's this? Oh, the will. I don't think he knows shit about the will. can't believe that one of my artifacts was used to commit a murder. It's completely disrespectful to the culture and history behind it. What? He's speaking as if he truly had no hand in this. But that can't be true, can it? I'm telling you guys, it was the monkey. The door, the dog, the dog. Wait, do I have the dog's I do have the dog's profile.
He's 3 years old.
Oh my god, the dog can cast spells? Hold up. Man, that's a scary man. You know, actually, Arya has her father's eyes. Monkey. Eugene, just what were you doing that night? Did you really wield that sword, if only for a brief moment? Wait, you should have known exactly where Eugene was that night. Why? Why would his thoughts say that? Oh, I filled it up. What's going on? He's speaking as if he really had no hand in this. You can guard yourself in the Eye of Horus, but you can't lie to it. And if that's true, were you wrong about Harold's involvement? If he's really innocent, see anything, Cuthbert? Your Honor, it's clear that the prosecution has nothing left to argue. There's very little evidence implicating my client, and there's a far more likely suspect in front of us right now. Yes, I must agree, Miss Tamura. At the very least, I see no reason to prolong this trial any longer. But wait! Beatrice couldn't have personally done this. Discounting the fact that she's completely blind, she was with two princes for most of the night. So who actually killed William Frege in his study? Think about this. The reason why he suspected Harold in the first place was because of what Tracker said. Tracker's vocabulary is primitive and limited. He used the word rat to describe a small creature that oops. But even if it wasn't an actual rat, it still couldn't have been human, right? You're right. It would have been a small animal. A small animal with the strength and dexterity to traverse a small air vent while holding a sword. Tracker definitely saw some kind of animal. Was it someone else's familiar? It was the monkey! It was Eugene! Right, it had to have been Eugene. Tracker found a sword in that hallway. And Eugene couldn't have communicated with Harold unless the sword protected both of them from the anti-magic field. But why? Did Eugene just happen to be in that hallway? That also doesn't explain why the sword of spell eating was even there. No. Tracker said that Eugene came out of the air vent on one side of the hallway. Then he fled into the air vent on the other side of the hallway. Even for a small monkey, those vents would be extremely cramped. He wouldn't have entered those vents out of mere curiosity. You know now that Harold didn't participate in the murder. But did he know about what Eugene was doing that night? Eugene was acting of their own free will. Eugene was acting of his own free will. That's the explanation that makes the most sense. But how? And why? Harold is the only person that is magically connected to Eugene. And even if Beatrice somehow got Eugene to follow her orders, she wouldn't have been able to direct his actions telepathically. Beatrice couldn't use any other conjuration spell to contact him either. She was also in the anti-magic field when she was with Aster. So if Eugene was the one who murdered William Frege, was he acting independently? No, that can't be possible. How could Eugene have carried out his plan independently? It also involved murdering William during the lockdown and destroying his will. Eugene might be smart for a monkey, but a normal monkey wouldn't have known how to identify and destroy William's will, even if Beatrice had somehow trained him to do all this beforehand. Tracker wore Beatrice? I don't think that's possible. Wait. I think I found the missing armbands. Oh, Tracker. Not Tracker, Eugene. No, it couldn't be. I discovered that the armbands of intellect had been stolen as well. And unlike the sword of spell eating, we still haven't found the armbands. You look at the glass where the armbands used to be. The thief didn't shatter the glass. Exactly. Moreover, the armbands were actually replaced with a very well-made replica. The magical locks on this case can be disabled. How are they normally disabled? They can be turned on and off using a spoken word. How many people know this password? Only myself. I personally oversee the transport of these items when they're moved. Only Harold knows the password, but someone could have overheard him saying it. Someone that's constantly looking over his shoulder. Man, did the monkey really do it? You made some ridiculous statements in the past, but there's no way the judge will even entertain this theory. You have to be smart about this. Your Honor, I think there's one more witness that can clear up this discrepancy once and for all. I believe he can prove the prosecution's case to the court. Are we actually going to be able to... Are we actually going to be able to argue with a monkey? Really? I frankly find that hard to believe. Please trust me, Your Honor. There's an element to this that we all aren't seeing. And it's one that no one will believe. Humph. What do you have planned now? Very well. I'll give you one last chance, Mr. Cuthbert. But know that if your next witness fails to unveil any new information, I won't hesitate to end this trial. I understand, Your Honor. So I'm going to need you to bear with me for a moment. Why? Your Honor, the defense calls Eugene Haroldson to the stand. Look, guys, I know it sounds stupid. Never mind. I retract my earlier statement. I'll be passing my verdict. Wait, just bear with me for a moment. Mr. Cuthbert, I should find you in contempt for even suggesting this. Do you honestly think I'll allow a monkey to give testimony in my courtroom? Yeah, it sounds pretty out there, even for us. I'd like to remind the court of the nature of Harold's bond with Eugene. Eugene is a familiar. That means that Harold Haroldson can speak with him telepathically. But this is absolutely... Show me the law that says an animal can't give testimony, Your Honor. It may be unprecedented, but it's not against the law. Very well. Your Honor, you can't be serious right now. Are you actually going along with this? Oh, Miss Mora, I am looking for any possible reason not to entertain this. But Mr. Cuthbert has a point. There are no laws against his proposal. So I suppose I must oblige his frankly insane actions for now. Well, I guess it doesn't matter. It's not as if this will reveal anything. I can't believe I'm saying this, but... Bailiff, please escort Lord Haroldson's monkey to the stand. Yes. Witness, please state your name and occupation to the court. I can do it without the sarcasm, Mr. Mora. Eugene is Eugene. Eugene Monkey. Bailiff, make sure the stenograph gets Haroldson's translations. Ugh. You can't see the armbands on him right now. He must be at his normal intelligence now. Although, how would he even wear them? Perhaps he held them in his hands. They only require physical contact, after all. Eugene, did you steal from the gallery on the night of the murder? Ook, ook, ag, ag. Eugene never steal from Harold. Eugene respect Harold. Then you have no problem testifying about where you went during the Lord's Ball. I can't believe I let you convince me to permit this. This is kind of weird now that we're actually doing it. Eugene explore house. Eugene look for new places to play. Eugene also look for spiders. Spiders yum yum. You think Eugene steal armbands of intellect? Eugene never steal from Harold. Harold friend. Eugene always Harold's friend. Apes strong together. Oh, wow, you did it, Cuthbert. You blew this case wide open. Is this really going to help us? Look, you'll just have to trust me on this. I trust you. Since it sounds like it turned into a question at the end. Eugene explore house. Yum yum. Yes, I do think you stole it. Wait a minute. Eugene, I asked you before if you stole anything from Harold's gallery. Eugene, no. Eugene would never steal from Harold. Cuthbert, don't waste our time by having him repeat that statement. And that's the thing, Mr. Mora. That's not the same statement he made in his testimony. I asked the witness if he stole an artifact from the gallery. I never mentioned the armbands of intellect. Ook. What are you talking about now? The witness lacks the understanding to differentiate between the artifacts. It was clearly just a simple mistake. It's not just the fact that he named the wrong artifact, Mr. Mora. It's the fact that he used its actual name. I'm afraid I don't understand what you mean, Mr. Cuthbert. Your Honor, animals can't speak the name the same way that humans do. Even if a telepathic link is established, their vocabulary is extremely limited. Right, Tracker called the sword of spell eating a stick before. It was hard to understand what he really meant. Exactly, so that raises a question. How did Eugene know they were called the Armbands of Intellect? Wait, how did he know? The armbands were stolen during the Lord's Ball and replaced with a well-made replica. Where are the Armbands of Intellect right now? If he had worn the armbands when he was sneaking through the vents, he would have never had the opportunity to put them back. And the armbands are still missing. Eugene has to be wearing them right now, right? The armbands at this moment. It can't be. Is he really? The armbands were designed to be worn by humans, so Eugene couldn't wear them on his arms. So where would he wear them? You initially thought that he carried them in his hands, but there's a far simpler explanation. Eugene, do you still maintain that you didn't steal the Armbands of Intellect? Eugene told you already. Eugene never steal from Harold. Then I suppose you wouldn't mind taking off your hat. Oh, it's on his hat? I thought he had it underneath his clothes. Are you serious right now? You don't think he's wearing them right now, do you? It's the only thing that makes sense. The armbands were taken on the night of the murder, and they are still missing. If Eugene did indeed steal the armbands that night, he would have never had the opportunity to return them. He had no choice but to continue wearing them until the investigation was over. This is absolutely ridiculous. You're spinning a fairy tale. Do you honestly expect us to believe that a monkey increases intellect beyond human limits? If I'm wrong, the witness can easily refute my theory by removing his hat. Well, what's it going to be, Eugene? You see him fully break character, and he slowly but silently lifts his hat. No, you can't be serious. Everyone can see it plainly. He's wearing the armbands like a crown around his tiny head. From out of his hat, you see him pull out something else. What the fuck is this, monkey? Well done, Mr. Cuthbert. I shouldn't have underestimated you. Are you serious? This is probably a blessing in disguise. I don't think I could bear debasing myself any longer. Objection, Your Honor. On what grounds, Mr. Mora? On what grounds? Everything about the situation is objectionable. I even don't know what to say in this situation. It's downright absurd. Is he seriously Beatrice's accomplice? But Miss Tamora, we can't deny what's clearly in front of us. I was not ready for today. How is he even talking right now? Scholars believe that humans and apes evolved from a common ancestor. Perhaps all apes can speak the common language under the right circumstances. Evolved? Please! I've observed your society. I think calling humanity evolved is being quite generous. This can't be happening. This is kind of weird. This has got weirder. Well, are you all done gawking at me like a bunch of simpletons? Simpletons? Wait a minute. It's quite difficult to separate myths from actual historical accounts. Right, I remember encountering a similar problem at the Imperial Academy. Ah, you must be quite dedicated to your studies. They let this simpleton into the Imperial Academy? Rude, but you suppose that can't be helped. Oh, it wasn't him thinking that. It was the fucking monkey. Every insulting thought that you've seen from Harold, they weren't Harold's thoughts at all. They were Eugene's thoughts. He's been wearing the armband since you first met. But I still don't understand. Why would you even take the armbands in the first place? I'll admit that the Lord's Ball was one of many occasions. The first time I touched them was due to sheer chance. You put them on by accident? My unawakened self was enamored by its glittering sheen. I merely wanted to touch them. When I first held them in my hands, I experienced a sense of clarity that I had never felt before. I was afraid of what I had experienced, so I left them alone. But as I returned to my primitive lifestyle, I couldn't stop thinking about what I felt that day. You were hooked. I wouldn't quite phrase it like that, but I suppose you're not wrong. I already knew the password to Harold's vault, so I'd come in from time to time and indulge in the armband's power. But the more time I spent with my awakened intellect, the more I craved its power when I had to put them away. and that's why he made the replica. While no one was watching, I devised a plan to discreetly take the armbands. Harold would have eventually discovered that they were stolen, but he would have concluded that a noble from the Lord's Ball took them, because of the pressure that he was receiving from the crown. I'm not proud of what I've done, but I never expected things to reach this point. I didn't expect someone to steal the sword of spell eating as well. And I certainly didn't expect a murder to happen that night. So you still maintain that you're innocent? Of course I do. I stole the armbands, but I did not murder William Frege. Nor did I take the sword of spell eating. Allow me to elaborate. Okay. I'll admit that I took the armbands and replicated them with a replica, but I was not the crook who stole the sword of spell eating. The thefts were completely different from one another. The display case for the sword was completely shattered. I spotted the sword when I was exploring the manor. It was lying in the middle of a hallway. I wondered why such an important artifact would be lying there, so I took a closer look to inspect it. That's when I heard Harold call out to me telepathically. The sword must have protected me and Harold from the anti-magic field. That's not right. I wanted to take the sword and return it, but a wild dog chased me away from the scene. He has a point. He didn't need to shatter the display case of the sword. Yeah, he already knew the password. The tracker said that Eugene was the one who dropped the sword. Furthermore, he escaped into the air vent that led into William's study. His actions that night are definitely not as innocent as his testimony implies. He must have lied somewhere. Where'd you find... Oh. Sorry, guys. Hit the mic again. Where'd you find the sword? My location was near the Frege's bedrooms. Don't tell me that you... What do you take me for? I know what a bedroom looks like, and I'd never entered one uninvited. Then why were you there in the first place? I was coming back from the rooftop garden, but I suddenly felt something interfering with the armband's magic. The anti-magic fields. Yes, I was worried that something had happened, so I made my way back to the gallery to meet up with Harold. I see. Could you add this to your testimony? Very well. About the shop. The gallery's there. Where the fuck is the garden? Oh, there's the rooftop garden. Man, that's a far distance. Present. Eugene, I'm sure you're well aware of this, but the best way to lie is to hide a false detail within many truths. And what are you trying to insinuate, Mr. Cuthbert? You said that you were heading from the terrace to the gallery. Did you take any detours? Of course not. The armbands nullified my intelligence was slowly fading. I wanted to return to Harold as soon as possible. Witness, I'd like for you to take a look at this floor map of Frege Manor. This is the location where that wild dog found the sword of spell eating. So tell me, Eugene, how did you spot the sword of spell eating? When it was hidden in the hallway north of Beatrice's room? That's... Why are you nitpicking such an insignificant statement? He probably just got distracted and went down the wrong hallway. Mr. Moore, Eugene came from the rooftop garden, and he is adamant that he went directly to the gallery to reunite with Harold. Even if his intellect was muddled, he was intent on reuniting with his worried companion. He definitely took that direct route, but if he did, he would have never been able to see into that hallway. I see your point, Mr. Cuthbert. What does this mean? It means that the witness lied about where he was before he discovered the sword of spell eating. He wasn't coming from the rooftop garden. He came from the air vents in that specific hallway. So why were you in that hallway, Eugene? You lied in your testimony. Was it because you wanted to hide what you were really doing that night? I. Admit it, Eugene. You snuck through the air vents to avoid detection. when you used the air vent in the hallway to break into William's study. After that, you murdered him using his letter opener, didn't you? That's not what I went there to do. No, I didn't mean... Ooh. Ooh. Order! Order in the court! A witness, is this true? Did you break into William Frega's study during the lockdown? Yes, I did enter his study, but not for the reason you think. William Frega was already dead when I got there. What? What did you just say? It's true. Do you honestly expect us to believe a story like that? How could someone else have killed the victim before you got there? Tracker took the sword of spell eating, and you were the only intelligent creature that could walk through the air vents. I understand how unbelievable and suspicious it sounds. Why do you think I lied in the first place? But it's the truth, Mr. Cuthbert. You have to believe me. You don't see any contradicting thoughts through the eye. That hardly absolves him of guilt. But could he really be telling the truth? If that's true, that only still brings you back to one question you've been asking since all this began. Who really did this? Okay, Eugene, let's assume you're telling the truth. Do you actually believe me? Let's not get ahead of ourselves. You're still my only suspect for this. But I know better than anyone about jumping to conclusions. So I'll give you the benefit of the doubt for now. I see. However, if you want to absolve yourself, I need you to tell me what you really saw that night. There might be something, anything that points to who really did this. Very well. I'll tell you what I saw. Although, I doubt you'll believe me. I discreetly made my way to the hallway through another air vent. I exited the air vent in that hallway, and I tried to leap to the other side. I'm not sure if I was waning intelligence or my desperation, but I collided with something that I didn't see. I fell to the ground and found the sword of spell eating laying next to me. I wanted to retrieve the sword, but that wild dog forced me to retreat. After that, I continued to make my way to the study. And that's when I found William Frega. He was dead on the floor and lying in a pool of blood. And as if I were blessed by the Scaled Lord himself, I found the will that he was drafting, so I destroyed it. Frankly, Mr. Haraldson, I find that story very difficult to believe. I assumed as much, but you know what they say. Truth is stranger than fiction. Isn't it more likely that you murdered the victim? You're clearly trying to cover up what you did by saying that he was already dead. Honestly, I really don't know what to think. Yeah, me neither. The fact that we're talking to him, Bunky, yeah, that's still messing with me. Is he really telling the truth? That's a word. Truth is indeed a word that he could be telling. A monkey with a pipe. Fancy monkey. But why were you there in the first place? It all began when William Frega got into an argument with Harold. That cur wanted to defund the prestigious Haraldson Hall of History. I knew a man like William had many secrets, so I devised a plan to break into his study and find something that I could use to blackmail him. As you know, there's a small air vent in the hallway, and it connected to William's study on the ground floor. I wasn't aware that William was planning to stay in his study all night, so I thought I could look through his documents without anyone seeing me. You suppose that does make sense. But is he really telling the truth? What happened when you tried to leap to the other air vent, Eugene? He collided with something he couldn't see? So the thing Tracker found wasn't Eugene? I thought monkeys were extremely dexterous. Are you just clumsy? I have impeccable dexterity. It sounds like you struck a nerve there. I must have been muddled from losing the armband's magic. Okay. I fell to the ground and found the sword of spell eating laying next to me. How did you know it was the sword of spell eating? When I held it in my hands, I felt my intelligence return. But I also heard Harold calling out to me telepathically. He was clearly growing worried, so I knew I needed to move quickly. I wanted to retrieve the sword, but the wild dog forced me to retreat. After that, I continued to make my way to the study. Did this wild dog have a white coat of fur? He did. Are you acquainted with him? Something like that. Well, next time you meet him, tell him that I don't appreciate being called a rat. I am a proud orangutan. You can understand him? I picked up a little of the canine language throughout my life. I'm also fluent in squirrel and pigeon. I can also speak owl, but I admit it's barely conversational. As much as you want to test the validity of those claims, they're not relevant to this case. What happened when you entered the study? That's where you found red pool of blood, smartass monkey. Yeah, here it is. It seems awfully convenient that he was murdered before you arrived. I know how it may seem, but I'm telling you the truth. And do you have any explanation for how the assailant broke into the study without the sword? I, unfortunately, do not. Please, it's obvious your testimony doesn't match up with the evidence. Whoever did this either entered through the vents, or they used the swords to nullify the lock. And your testimony states that the sword was abandoned in that hallway. It doesn't match up with what you thought had happened, but does it really contradict the evidence you have? If this is the fourth case, then I'm afraid that the next case we're talking to unicorns. Lamau, if in the last case we talked to unicorns, that would be kind of funny. Anyways, what did you do when you discovered the body? I knew it was only a matter of time before someone discovered the body, so I quickly searched the room for something I could use. Yeah, there's the one I wanted. So you were the one who took the will. I've been trying to find it. What did it say? I was pressed for time, so I didn't read the entire document, but I found an order to execute to defund the Heraldson Hall of History. Since he went out of his way to specify that on the current copy, I concluded that his former will didn't have this amendum. So he could save Harold's museum by making sure it never got submitted for probate. Anyways, do you have the will with you? My apologies, I crumpled up the will into a ball and ate it. I then left the room before my intelligence was completely gone. Ugh. Sadly, I know that the last one we're dealing with Satan's spawn. Oh my god. Yeah, it's the only logical explanation for why she keeps popping up. You were really hoping to see if William followed through on his threat to disinherit Beatrice. It's hard to believe, but you can't see any direct contradictions. Should you press him more? What if he's telling the truth? Okay, wait. I know he said he didn't read it all, but when he didn't even disinherit Beatrice in the second will. So, like, what's the point? If Eugene did do this, your next course of action is clear. Although that still wouldn't explain how Beatrice fits into this. You recall something the Tracker said to you. Tracker, you said you had to smell to see where the rats was? And when he dropped his stick, you were finally able to see him? Does this mean you could visually see him before he fell down? Yeah, Tracker couldn't see the rat with his eyes, so Tracker used his nose to see it. Eugene was invisible. Eugene, when you were carrying out your plan, did you turn yourself invisible somehow? No, I hardly had the means to. And even if I had somehow convinced Harold to cast a spell on me, he doesn't know how to cast invisibility. Very few mages do. Alright, you recall Era saying the same thing during the Nightgrave trial. Thank you for the hydrate, Lila. Only a master of illusions magic could do that. That's how you first thought Beatrice was involved. But if Eugene is truly innocent, did she turn someone else invisible? But if that's true, you're back right where you started again. No, think this through. Eugene's testimony fills in a blank that's been missing. I fell to the ground and found a sword of spell eating laying next to me. How did you know it was a sword of spell eating? When I held it in my hands, I felt my intelligence return. But I also heard Harold calling out to me telepathically. He was clearly growing worried, so I knew I needed to move quickly. I wanted to retrieve the sword, but that wild dog forced me to retreat. After that, I continued to make my way to the study. And what happens when you cross-reference that with Tracker's testimony? That one, Tracker smelled flying rat. Tracker could smell where Rat was, so Tracker borked at him. Tracker must have scared Rat because he dropped onto the floor and dropped his stick. Oh. What? Oh. Thank you for the posture check and stretch. Apparently posture check and stretching at the same time leads to a yawn. So where does that lead us? So, flying rat and jumping rat were different creatures. The thief dropped a sword in the hallway. The thief dropped a sword in that hallway, but how does that make any sense? Did they hide the sword there like you originally thought? No. That hallway was close to the gallery. There were plenty of better places to hide the sword. If it weren't for Tracker taking it, it would have been found even sooner. The thief must have accidentally dropped the sword there. This can only mean one thing. Why was the thief in the hallway? Well, he was in the air vents, obviously. The thief... sneaking? Through the air vents? Sneaking? Yeah, there we go. The thief was also sneaking through the air vents. That's the only reason why they would be there. But that would imply that the thief was as small as Eugene. Could it have been another familiar? And if so, why didn't Eugene notice them? Wait. I'm not sure if it was my waning intelligence or my desperation, but I collided with something that I didn't see. He collided with something that he didn't see. In other words, it was something that wasn't visible to him. And as a master of illusion magic, Beatrice is one of the few people at the ball that could cast invisibility. Beatrice would never trust anyone enough to work together like this. But she's completely blind. She wouldn't have much of a choice. Even so, she's not the type of person to trust her accomplice and stay quiet. She'd find a way to carry out a plan herself, and she'd only employ someone else's help if she had full control of them. Have you been approaching the situation incorrectly the entire time? Through the eye, you knew that Beatrice was involved somehow, but you just assumed that she was one part of a larger plot. The breaking of the glass and the casting of invisibility, those are the elements that you knew she was involved with, but it never really fit together, not unless she was the one pulling the strings the entire time. And there's only one way she could be in control the entire time. So, Beatrice has her own familiar? A couple of memories flood into your mind. A familiar is a creature that a mage has formed a magical contract with. With that contract, our souls are bonded. I can speak with him telepathically. I can even see through his eyes and cast my spells through him if I wanted to. She had to show up sometime. Really? I never knew a spell like that existed. It's quite rare. Very few mages take the time to learn how to cast it. Hi, I'm Tyrion Cuthbert, and I'm Miss Tamora's ward. You extend out your hand to shake hers. She has an aristocratic air to her, so you hope you're not being too informal. Instead of taking your hand, she claps her hands together and takes a deep breath. What? So sorry, I didn't mean to do that. It's a bit of a habit of mine. Uh-oh. Nevertheless, she finally shakes your hand. I've heard much about you, Mr. Cuthbert. My name is Beatrice. You didn't know that she was blind back then, so you barely even noticed. But how did she know that you were holding out your hand? Well, you have any other questions for me? If you're wrong about this, Beatrice will surely be acquitted. And after that, the Inquisition will turn their attention to Harold and Eugene. But there's only one way to know for sure. Your Honor, the prosecution has no further questions for the current witness. He is dismissed. What? I see. You have something else planned, don't you? Yeah, and I actually need your help. Really? You tell her about your plan. Really? I feel like you're making some big assumptions there. Wouldn't the Inquisition check for something like that? I know, it's the best play we have. Do you remember what Steelwind said yesterday? But the moment the guards saw the body, one of them cast Detect Magic. With that spell, they would have seen any invisible people hiding in this room. Wait, you can use Detect Magic like that? Of course, it's standard procedure. Like all spells, invisibility leaves traces of magic on a person it's cast on. Some mages can use Detect Magic as a way to see through invisibility. If everything goes the way I think it will, you'll be able to confirm its location. Once you do that, you just need to reveal it to everyone. Alright, I'll follow your lead then. So, Mr. Cuthbert, how do we proceed? Your previous witness brought about more revelations than I could have ever guessed. However, you still haven't given a substantial explanation about how the murder occurred or who actually did it. I'm working on it. I understand that, Your Honor. But it will all make sense after I call my next witness. Another witness? I understand your hesitance, Your Honor. But everything that we've learned throughout these trials is finally coming together. And his final witness will tie it all together in a perfect knot. Your Honor, the prosecution calls Beatrice Frege to the stand. Seriously, Cuthbert, you went to all that trouble just to end up calling my client to the stand? You and your client have the right to refuse, Mr. Mora, but I wonder how that would reflect on your client's character. It doesn't really matter. She's already standing here with Mr. Mora. You can carry out your plan regardless of what she decides to do, but it'll have much more impact if you can bait her into lying on the stand. My client says that she's willing to testify. However, we would like to propose a short recess. With these new developments, I'm sure you can understand that we have much to discuss. I see no reason not to grant the defense request. Is this really okay? If we give them time to prep, they might realize what we're doing. I know, but I don't think we have anything to worry about. You've been building a psychological profile of Beatrice since this case began. It's hard to read her expressions and emotions, even with the Eye of Horus. She keeps herself guarded and keeps her true intentions unknown. She's powerful, more powerful than her father even cared to admit. Despite this, he tried to control her and put her inside a cage. But Beatrice Frege would never live in a cage. She wanted freedom and control, and she would do whatever it took to get it. You're sure the accident that blinded her didn't help things? When everything was said and done, she abandoned everything. Her wealth, her status, her family. She could have waited. She could have gritted her teeth until it was her turn to lead House Frege. If she was willing, she could have even secretly pushed her father past the gates of death herself. But she couldn't bear to live like that, even temporarily. You have no idea why this is how she chose to do that. Perhaps that had something to do with their meeting. But you do know one thing. Beatrice Frege will never put herself in a position of vulnerability. If you endanger her freedom, she'll make sure that she can see who she's up against. In the interest of giving the defense time to deliberate, we'll be taking an extended recess. Court is adjourned. Oh. As you are exiting the courtroom, he sent Celeste to do some reconnaissance. Word. It should be similar to when she scanned Valentina during the Nightgrave trial. Tyrion! Celeste, were you able to see it? Yeah, it's definitely there, and it sits on her shoulder most of the time. So she keeps it close to her. That's good to know. It looks kind of weird though, but I've never used Detect Magic like this before. We doubt that someone like her would choose a conventional animal, especially for something like this. Cuthbert, Miss Tamora. There's something I need to show you. Preferably alone. Celeste gives you a concerned look, but you nod to show her it's okay. She moves to sit on the bench where she can keep an eye on Beatrice. Okay, lead the way. I'm a concerner. I don't trust this.
I don't trust this one bit.
Mr. Moore leads you out of the courthouse and into the city. Every time you ask her where she's taking you, she avoids answering your question. Alright, we're here. Where are we? You arrive at an empty alley in the frankly seedier part of the city. And Miss Tamora approaches one of the derelict buildings. She's met with a large burly man who's guarding the back door. The man silently acknowledges her and steps aside to let her in. Miss Tamora, where are we going? I'm sorry about this. I'm sure you're confused, but please trust me. I'll explain everything. Before you have a chance to ask for more information, she moves into the building. The man guarding the door looks at you expectantly. The entire situation doesn't sit right with you, but you still continue to follow her. Despite your recent disagreements, you know that you can trust her. As you head further into the building, you find yourself in a surprisingly well-furnished room. From how it looks outside, you would have never guessed that it would look like this. It almost looks like a room that you'd encounter in Frege Manor. As you enter the room, you spot several mercenaries standing at various points in the room. And most surprisingly, you see Eris standing at the end of the room. You give her a confused look, but she simply smiles and waves at you. Sitting at the desk next to her, you see a man with an eye patch. It looks like he's been expecting you. Ah, Tamora. Upon seeing you two, he cordially welcomes Miss Tamora before turning his attention to you. And you must be Tyrion. Tamora has told me a lot about you. I see, but who are you? I've been called many names over the years, but my favorite has always been the Eye Taker. What the fuck? The Eye Taker. From the sounds of it, you've already heard of me. Miss Tamora, what is this? My daughter Eris has told me all about your work prosecuting this case. She's his daughter? But I have to say, I'm quite impressed. Getting a monkey to testify? I don't think I could even pull off a grit like that. You've pretty much blown past my expectations. Why, get to the point. As soon as you interrupt him, you feel every person in the room tense up. You don't even need the eye to know that your interruption put them on edge. Relax, everyone. Kids will be kids. I'm a father myself, you know? Okay. Anyways, I'll get straight to the point. I have a certain interest in the outcome of this trial. What are you talking about? Little Lady Frege has been a client of ours for a long time. I've done quite a lot of favors for her, and the time has finally come for me to collect. Those debts that Steelwind mentioned, they all belong to me. There's no need to worry. I know she's good for it. That is, if she can inherit House Frege. What? Tamora is a good attorney, even without my help. If she's convicted, we would easily reduce her sentence by rubbing the right hands. But you see, there's that pesky Slayer rule. The thing is, Cuthbert, I need Beatrice Frege to be acquitted in the current trial. So that's what this is about? House Frege's gold? That's why you helped murder William Frege? Please, my goals aren't nearly so short-sighted. I have big plans, not just for Beatrice, but for this entire kingdom. And I need House Frege for that. Just like you needed Justin Way? Tyrion! Ah, Justin. It's really a shame what happened to him. Don't act so innocent. He would have never tried to rob Dracogen if you didn't threaten him. Is that so? Do you think I just randomly showed up on his doorstep one day demanding gold? He was the one who came to me for help. I just told him to pay back what he owed. If he hadn't come to me, it would have been some other criminal. But that's besides the point. Even enough about what I wanted from Justin. Let's talk about what I want from you. You want me to throw the case? Ah, I love this kid. I don't have to beat around the bush with this one. No one will doubt you, especially considering the amount of work you put into this already. You don't need to do anything. Just take a dive. And let someone else take the fall? No matter what happens, the court will blame someone for this. If it makes you feel better, I can assign Tamora to defend the old man and his monkey. That way, everyone can come out of this unharmed. Everyone wins. Except for the fact that a murderer will be put in a cage and put in charge of House Frege. Please. As if that's any worse than the people in charge of the other noble houses. If you recall, there's already a murderer in charge of House Von Sanctus. They're all dirty. You've seen it, haven't you? They rig the system. They pay, threaten, or even kill people to get their way. All we're doing is leveling the playing field. Tyrion, please, just listen to him. How can you just go along with this? I told you a long time ago that there are certain parts of my job that I couldn't tell you about. Well, this is it. This is what we need to do to beat them. Those rumors about you, they're all true, aren't they? Forgery, bribery, blackmail, you're guilty of each and every one of them. And you used him to do it, all so you could keep winning. You blackmailed Miriam, Miss Tamora. Oh, as if we should show any pity for that spoiled princess. A dreadful thought just entered your mind. Siwyn, she was attacked the day after Beatrice was arrested. Was that? I didn't know that's what they were planning. Despite my confidence in Tamora's skills, I'm afraid there's too much writing on this to leave to chance. You've got to make your own luck if you want to beat the system. Oh my stars. How could you? She almost died. We never expected her to strain her injuries like that. And we definitely didn't expect you to take her place. So believe me when I say that I'm being uncharacteristically reasonable right now. How could you even consider working with someone like him? Don't you think it's a little arrogant to judge her, Cuthbert? What? You talk about defending people as if you two are even close to being equals. But she doesn't have the luxury of looking into people's minds, now does she? You told him about the Eye of Horus? The future of magic is changing, kid. Like I said before, I have big plans for this kingdom. And I also have big plans for you. Do you think I would ever? Tyrion, stop. To be honest, I hate it as much as you do. But whether you like it or not, we need their help. But this is... Think about every client you defended. Think of Celeste. If you didn't have the Eye of Horus, what would have happened to her? If even one thing went differently, Pierce would have gotten away and Celeste would have been executed. You've taken chances and followed your instincts, and that's worked for you so far. But what if it's not enough? What if the system is too corrupt for you to fight against next time? With the Eye Taker's help, you'll never have to worry about that again. If I had accepted his help sooner, I could have saved your mother. So what's it going to be, kid? You already know what happened to that Steelwind brat. So I don't need to tell you what'll happen if you don't play ball. What? Wait. No. What? Maybe you're right. Maybe I can't always win against the nobility unless I play dirty like they do. But this is wrong. Tyrion, I'm not going to compromise my principles. Not even for you, Miss Tamora. I'm sorry to hear you say that, kid. I really am. With one motion of his hand, every mercenary in the room draws their weapons. But please, you don't have to do this. You did this to us! You! Whatever conviction you had before is slowly fading. You should have never entered this place. You knew something was off. There are about a dozen mercenaries here, and there's even more guarding the way out. You're nowhere near as physically strong as Celeste. So maybe you can make a break for it if you get lucky. No. Celeste? What the? How did you get in here? My whole job is keeping this guy safe. You honestly think I just let you take him to an undisclosed location? It doesn't matter, as if one girl will make a difference. Well, what are you all waiting for? Is that really her? Upon seeing Celeste, the mercenaries cautiously step back. No one wants to make the first move. This monstrous aura, it has to be her. What the hell are you doing? You have her surrounded. Despite his command, no one takes a step forward. Look, let's all just sit down and talk about this rationally. Perhaps a different approach is warranted to your father. What? Could I have the opportunity to speak with Mr. Cuthbert? I believe I can make him see things our way. I'm sorry, sweetie, but I can't just... There's that glitch again. Well, you've never been wrong before. I'll leave them to you, love. Shall we go, you two? Celeste silently watches Eris with her sword drawn. But unlike the mercenaries, Eris seems unmoved. She merely walks past her and out the exit. You and Celeste exchange glances and follow after her. That was close. I don't think I could have fought that whole room while protecting you. Does that mean she could have fought them if she were alone? You two are really courageous to a fault, aren't you? Eris, I appreciate you vouching for us, but I'm not changing my mind about this. Oh, I'm well aware of that. Why do you think I intervened? Oh. Well, thank you. Is this really okay? Won't your dad be mad? I should be asking Tyrion that same question. You've seen your adoptive mother's true colors and rejected them. How are the two of you going to move forward? She's not my... Isn't she, though? She lost any right to deny it the moment she took it upon herself to raise you. She only did that because I asked her to. It wasn't her choice. Oh, but it was. How old were you when your real mother was executed? 10 years old? Eris? Back then you barely knew Tamora. It would be a stretch to even call her a family friend. She was the adult in that situation. And what did she do? She fed your anger and hatred for the nobility, instead of allowing you to process your grief healthily. Tamora took you away from your only friends and isolated you from society. She even homeschooled you, didn't she? That's... As a result, you never formed any other relationships. You made your first close friend at the age of 20, and she was your client.
Well, hello, baby. You get the haircuts.
I guess you get tummy rubs because I can't reach your head. Don't you think that's a bit sad? She's isolated you because she wanted to use you. That's not true. That's not why she... For what I've seen today, you clearly have no idea who Tamora is. Even with the Eye of Horus, you're clearly a terrible judge of character. Eris, you're going way too far. To save you from more heartache, let me give you one last piece of advice. Eris leans in really close to you and begins to whisper into your ear. Do you honestly think Celeste will ever love you? What the fuck? That was uncalled for. There's a piece of purple plastic on me. I was told to give the Kalea a tweet. How rude. Yeah, for real.
Hello, baby.
Like, what the fuck? I'm sure you understand now. Tamora can only afford to pay her exuberant salary because of my father. You've already burned that bridge. So where do you think the Crimson Demon will go when you can't afford her services anymore? No, she's not. With Flynnheart dead, she has to worry about her mother. Do you think she has the luxury of playing around with you for free? Or did you actually think that she enjoys spending time with you? Tyrion, you have to look at this rationally. That's uncalled for. Oops. I tried to give Kalea that second treat into the back of her head, and I didn't even notice it. Any support or affection that she's given you has only been to keep you as an employer. You seem to know a lot about these things. I had to do a lot of networking when I was a mercenary. Do you know how many times I had to charm a merchant into hiring me? Why are you doing this? Because I... What did she say? I'm just trying to keep you from getting hurt. No. That's not what she said. She changed the damn text log. It may seem cruel, but you have to be realistic about these things. You trusted Tamora, and she betrayed you. Try not to make the same mistake twice. Celeste didn't hear anything she said, but she seems to notice how it's affecting you. Eris, that's enough. My apologies. I've been told that I've been too blunt sometimes. But I do hope you'll think about what I said. Anyways, the trial should be starting soon. We should make our way back to the courthouse. I'm genuinely curious to see how this trial ends. Hey, Tyrion, Are you okay? What does he say to you? She reaches for your hand, but you instinctively yank it away from hers. Tyrion? Sorry, I didn't mean to. I'm okay, really. Okay. Is he mad at me? You can think about everything else later. But for now, you know what you need to do. You need to convict Beatrice Frege. I didn't like that recess break. Just saying now, Judge. Should have never called it. Court is now resumed for the trial of Beatrice Frege. Is the defendant prepared to take the stand? Tamara, I asked you a question. Is the defendant prepped or not? She is. If the prosecution still wants to move forward with, the prosecution will be moving forward with this. Please bring in the witness. Do you see it, Celeste? Yeah, it's still there. Should I reveal it now? No, let's really make a point of it. Wait for my signal. Thank you for agreeing to take the stand, Miss Frege. Mr. Cuthbert, it's my understanding that you were with the two princes for most of the night. Yes, I was. Which is why I'm still quite confused as to why I'm being charged for this crime. Out of everyone there that night, I'd have thought my alibi was the most solid. That remains to be seen. Clearly. Anyways, since you still maintain your innocence, you have no problem going into detail about your supposed alibi. Even Peanut said I was rude. Yeah, because I was downright rude. As you know, I was with the Crown Prince Aster and Prince Alaric for most of the ball. I went there after my meeting with my father, and I remained with them until I was arrested for his murder. Lord Steelwind and the Kingsguard kept watch over me for the entire night as well. I neither had the means nor the opportunity to steal the sword of spell eating and break into my father's study to murder him. And that, Miss Frege, is where you're mistaken. You definitely had the means to commit both crimes while under the eye of everyone there that night. The most effective tool an attorney has is revealing a contradiction in a witness's testimony. It not only completely shatters your opponent's argument, it also makes the court doubt whether the witness is acting in good faith. Usually, you've used evidence to reveal contradictions like this. Now, Celeste, Burial. Wait, what are you doing? What is that? Your Honor, the witness's testimony is clearly... Oh my god, what the hell is that thing? Tyrion, get behind me. Ah! Monster! It's a monster! Someone call the Inquisition, the Kingsguard, anyone. Your Honor, can you please restore order? Yeah, the judge went to go hide. Your Honor? Yeah, he fled out the back door the moment he saw me. Your name is Marunif? It can talk! It's a demon. It must be. It's just like the legends say. Can we all just calm down? Man, that judge for real dipped. He said, nope, hell no. I ain't dealing with this shit. I'm out of here. First we cross-examine a monkey. Now there's this weird fucking thing in the courtroom. Nope, I'm gone. Bye-bye. Eventually, it was clear that the demon wasn't intent on harming anyone. At least not yet. The court ordered extra guards just in case, and you were eventually able to bring everyone back to the courtroom. Mr. Cuthbert, what is the meaning of this? I said, sorry, I didn't know it was Actually, what are you? Are you a demon? Why, yes. I am a demon. Look how she looks at it. Demons actually exist? I thought they were only a legend. Your Honor, not only do demons exist, the defendant has made one into her familiar. She's only blind in the literal sense. She constantly is looking through the eyes of her familiar to see. And? What do you mean, and? It's pretty obvious that making a pact with a demon is incriminating by itself. Tell me, Your Honor, do the laws of Wyverngard prohibit entering an accord with a demon? That they don't, but my client has committed no crime. Even so, I really would have preferred not revealing Marunif like that. Marunif, is that your name? It's what most people call me. Man, he's so small, the name thing almost went completely over it. Well, I suppose you have a point, Tamora. Having a demon as your familiar isn't technically illegal. However, this does prove that the defendant had a way to commit the murder, all while under the eye of everyone in the ballroom. She could have sent Marunif upstairs to the gallery and led him, and then had him steal the sword of spell eating. After that, they would have just needed to traverse the vents into William's study, just like Eugene did that night. The fact that her familiar is a demon proves that she couldn't have done that. What do you mean? You saw how everyone reacted when they saw Marunif's form. A monkey may have raised some eyebrows, but someone surely would have reported Marunif if they saw him. Tamora, your client is a master of illusion magic. Can I assume that we'll find invisibility in her spell compendium? You might. And with the connection granted by familial bond, she could have cast this spell on him regardless of where each of them was. I'll admit that my client does know how to cast invisibility. But your theory raises another question. Could my client continue casting it unnoticed? Continue casting it. You understand once I go over the order of events that night. At an unknown time, someone stole the sword of spell eating from the heralds and gallery. Due to the timing of this, I would admit that it would be logically consistent if my client was a thief. However, sometime later, my client met with the Crown Prince and was watched closely by the Kingsguard. From witness accounts, including yours, we know that this happened at 12:45 a.m. And since this time, my client didn't leave the Kingsguard's sight. It was around this time that William Frege retreated into his study and locked the door. He made a point of telling everyone that he didn't want to be disturbed. Then, at 1:03 a.m., Lord Haraldson finally discovered that the sword was stolen. He reported the theft to the Kingsguard, and they activated the lockdown system. Shortly after the report, Lafay Frege tried to speak with her father about the theft. William Frege reiterated that he did not want to be disturbed. Lafay saw his face, and there weren't any traces of illusion directly on his body. This means that William Frege is still alive at this moment. Unbeknownst to everyone at the time, William Frege was attacked by the murderer at 3:12 a.m. This is confirmed not only by Jan Hughes' testimony, but also by the autopsy report. Then at 3:26 a.m., the Kingsguard found the sword of spell eating in my client's old room. The Kingsguard tried to arrest my client for this, but the Crown Prince told them to stand down. Finally, at 3:36 a.m., the lockdown was lifted. Jan Hughes reported what he heard, and that's when the Inquisition and the Kingsguard discovered the body. The theft must have happened before 1:23 a.m. when it was actually reported. And in order to keep Marunif concealed at every step, my client would have needed to keep him invisible from 1:03 a.m. to 3:12 a.m. Not only that, she needed Marunif to wield the sword of spell eating to ignore the effects of the anti-magic fields. This means he would need to be invisible for more than an hour. What's your point? My point is that invisibility has a duration of 1 hour. I'll admit that my client could have cast invisibility before she met with the Crown Prince, but if she wanted to keep Marunif invisible, she would have needed to recast the spell at some point that night. And as you know, my client couldn't have done so during that night without the Kingsguard noticing it. Your logic makes sense. But that can only mean that the defendant refreshed the invisibility right in front of everyone watching. 1 second. I need to take a drink. In front of the entire Kingsguard, the two princes, and Lucio Steelwind? As unlikely as it is, it's the only conclusion I can come to. I had a feeling you'd say that, which is why we have a witness who can confirm that Beatrice didn't perform any magic that night. A witness? Your Honor, the defense would like to call Prince Althemia to the stand. I see. He would have certainly been close enough to notice the defendant casting magic. But wouldn't the Crown Prince's testimony be more suitable? Are you trying to say that Prince Althemia is unqualified to give proper testimony, Your Honor? Of course he's saying that. The kid is 7 years old. No, of course not. Is the prince ready to testify? Grow spine, for Lord's sake. Thank you for coming in, Prince Elric. Could you please? Hold your tongue, knave. You will speak when you are spoken to. Oh god, he sounds exactly like Miriam when we first met her. Honestly, he behaves exactly how you'd expect a prince of this rotten kingdom to act. Aster's the odd one out in this situation. It makes you wonder what made him so down to earth. Your Highness, Mr. Cuthbert believes that the defendant used her magic while she was with you and the Crown Prince. I already gave my statement to the instigators. This man dares to question my testimony? Yes, he said it, not me. Wow. The judge didn't even think twice about throwing you under. But very well, if my testimony is required to strike down these redundant accusations, I will bestow it upon you. Redundant? Don't you mean ridiculous? Mr. Cuthbert, do not dare to suppose what His Highness really means. His boots must be shining from all that licking you're doing. What was that? Nothing. Well, Tyrion ain't wrong. You think Lady Freyga casts magic right in front of me? Don't be a serf. She was under the careful watch of the Kingsguard, my brother, and Lord Steelwind. We conversed for the whole night, and I didn't see her cast any magic. She's been through so much over the last few years, all because of her horrid father. She'd never do something like this. You and Lady Steelwind are just jealous. He seems really convinced that he didn't see anything. You doubt that he's intentionally lying. Celeste, usually when you cast detect magic, I can see magical energies overlaying your eyes. Yeah, there's always a visible magical effect on the target when I cast a spell. Marunif was probably in another room. The Kingsguard wouldn't see the initial magical effect of invisibility. Even if there weren't any invisible effect in that room, she would have still needed to say the incantation and perform the gesture with her hands. Right, like how you shoot Repario Arcanum every time you scan a crime scene. I don't shout it. What's the thing for, Wrong button. You clap. Hey! Yes, she could have. It's her fucking tick. Anyway, she must have done the incantation and gesture at some point during the night. Did she ever get an opportunity to conceal herself to do so? It's her tick. Celeste, what do you usually need to do to cast a spell? There are a lot of factors involved, honestly. Stamina and focus are a big part of it. Assuming that she's in perfect condition, what's the bare minimum that she would need to do? She had to focus her magic, say the incantation, and perform the gesture of her hands, all at the same time. It does sound pretty conspicuous, but she must have hidden it somehow. And I know exactly how. Press. If I recall correctly, you and your brother were with her until she was arrested for the murder. What did you speak about? She told us stories about what she did while she was away. She's researching something. I forgot what she said. Something about the old cult. Do you mean the occult? Yes, that's it. She was researching ghosts and demons. Considering who her familiar is, her research must have borne fruit. Anyways, Your Highness, could you please add this to your testimony? If I must. She told me and my brother how the occult are a fascinating phenomena. Didn't see her cast any magic. Is this? Nope, it's this one. Object! To cast a spell, a mage needs to speak an incantation, but there's nothing that says you can't say anything before or after it. Your Highness, according to your testimony, the defendant told you that the occult are a fascinating phenomena. Is that exactly what she said, word for word? Yes, the stories she told us were quite interesting. They really stuck a chord with me. I see. Well, even if they were interesting, your testimony proves that she did cast the invisibility spell that night. Are you deaf? I already told you. No one heard her say any incantations. nor did they see her perform any gestures. Unfortunately, your testimony proves the contrary. Beatrice Frege said an incantation and performed a gesture right in front of you, all without anyone even knowing it. What? Your Highness, there are 2 components required to cast invisibility. First, the caster must speak the incantation Occult RA, and clap both of their hands together. As I'm sure you noticed, the defendant has a habit of clapping both of her hands to calm herself. Now that I think about it, that habit must have come from constantly casting the spell. The defendant requires Marunif to see, so she must constantly cast invisibility to keep him invisible. Cuthbert, you may have an explanation for how she hid the gesture, but she would have still needed to speak the incantation. But she did speak the incantation, and the witness's testimony proves it. What are you talking about? I never said that she spoke any incantation. Your Highness, the incantation for invisibility is Occult Aura. Now recall what the prince said in his testimony. She said the occult are a fascinating phenomenon. The pronunciation of one phrase is identical to the incantation. I see, so she hid the incantation in her dialogue. And because her target was a creature that was outside of the ballroom, no one saw the magical effects. This means that Marunif had the means to murder William Frege just as Eugene did. Having the means is completely different from actually having done it, Cuthbert. Very few people had the ability to shatter the display case to the sword of spell eating, and even fewer people had a familiar small enough to traverse the vents, which also makes Harrington's familiar an equally likely suspect. And unlike my client's familiar, he admitted to breaking into William's study that night. If your client's familiar is truly innocent, then why not have him testify before the court? Now we're gonna have the demon testify. We're gonna cross-examine Satan. We're cross-examining Satan. Okay. We are cross-examining Satan. Interesting. Very interesting. I see. Well, it's not as if he's the first unpredicted witness we've had today. Is Marunif willing to testify, Mr. Mora? You see Miss Tamora deliberating with Beatrice and Marunif. You can't hear what they're saying, but they clearly are in disagreement with each other. Marunif in particular seems to be the most vocal about his displeasure. Your Honor, unfortunately Marunif is unwilling to testify. Why the change of heart? My client's familiar may be a demon, but he is afforded the same rights as any other person. He is not obligated to testify. You look at Marunif and he's grinding his sharp teeth together. For some reason, he appears to be looking at you with intense hatred. Why are they being so secretive all of a sudden anyway? A witness can refuse to testify to avoid incriminating themselves, but a refusal to testify is suspicious in and of itself. Tamora had no issues with Beatrice taking the stand earlier, so why would she change her tune when it comes to Marunif? And despite what she said, Marunif seems like he disagrees with her decision the most. Is it possible that he's the weakest link of the 3 of them? If so, he might be the key to implicating them. And according to the legends, demons take great pride in their ability to deceive and corrupt people. You wonder. I see. Marunif is well within his right to refuse, if that's what he truly wants. It is. Well, I suppose it's for the best. I doubt he'd be able to corroborate your story at all. Marunif grinds his teeth together. It sounds like metal grinding on metal. Considering his diminutive figure, I don't blame him for being a coward. And Mr. Cuthbert, can you please refrain from provoking the literal demon? Oh, it's fine, Your Honor. He can't do anything without his master's word. And between him and the defendant, it's clear that Beatrice is the brains of the operation. You shut your filthy celestial mouth. Oh, masters. It worked. Marunif, what are you doing? I will not stand here and be insulted by a bloody Heavensborn. Heavensborn? I am still within my contract, and I will not flee from the likes of him. You want my testimony? I'll give you... I'll give you my testimony. Your Honor, my client does not consent to having her familiar testify. Tamora, didn't you say earlier that Marunif is afforded the same rights as any other person? He has a right to refuse to testify, but only he can decide if he wants to exercise it. And he's clearly intent on giving it. So, Marunif, why don't you testify about what you were doing on the night of the murder? Oops, cord fell. Gladly. I provided sight to keep... The music changed. I provided sight to my keeper while she spoke with the princess. I'll admit that she did cast invisibility on me during their conversation. She needed to keep me hidden after all. But I never left the room where my master was. Nor did I steal the sword of spell eating. You have nothing on me, Heavensborn. You don't even have proof that I entered William Frega's study. Do you honestly expect us to take your word for it? Or do you have any evidence to support your alibi? I only speak the truth, Heavensborn. There are mages other than my keeper that could have stolen the sword. And by your own admission, none of your witnesses saw me on the night of the murder. The one thing lacking evidence is you. He has a point. You still need definitive proof that ties him to the murder. Presenting contradicting evidence might not be possible. However, he's clearly lying in his testimony, and there's something strange about the way he's speaking. Why is he pausing so much? You're not seeing any thoughts through the eye, but perhaps you can try to interpret the meaning of his words. Oh. Well, the one that caught me off guard was this one, because he said, but I never left the room where my master was. Oh. He keeps pausing before certain statements, but not all of them. And more importantly, his word choice was different at that time. Did he slip up? Marunif, it looks like you misspoke and used the wrong word. What? Through most of your testimony, you refer to Beatrice Frega as your keeper, but you referred to her as your master during one statement. Why is that? For the first time, he doesn't have a response. So I'll ask you again, did you leave the ballroom that night? I didn't leave the room where my master was. He's using the word again. Master. Even though you pointed it out, why isn't he correcting it? Does that mean he's intentionally using that term? If so, why? Why is Marunif using the term master? Well, I think I know that. Okay, if you take his words at face value, the master he is referring to isn't Beatrice. And if Beatrice isn't his master, then his statement, I never left the room where my master was, would technically be true. But why even bother making that distinction? He clearly has no moral hang-ups about committing murder. He could have just lied. Or Marunif simply lie. So why can't he just lie in his testimony? What's his fuck said they can't lie. No, it can't be. Demons are clearly different from humans. Would they seriously have a limitation like that? It would explain why Tamora and Beatrice were so opposed to having him testify. There's only one way to know for sure. Witness, can you repeat the following statement for me? Tyrion Cuthbert's hair is green. Kind of ridiculous request is that? Another pause. I'm afraid I must agree, Mr. Cuthbert. Please don't waste our time with such random requests. I'm just conducting a little experiment, Your Honor. So I ask you again, Marunif. Say that Tyrion Cuthbert's hair is green. Your Honor, Cuthbert is clearly making trivial requests to stall for time. His request is not worth a response from a witness. That's not what I'm doing, Tamora, and I think you know that. Marunif, we truly don't know much about demons aside from the stories told in myths. So is it possible that demons are physically unable to lie? Damn it. I'm sorry, Mr. Cuthbert, but that seems quite ridiculous. Why wouldn't the witness be capable of lying? I generally don't know, Your Honor, but his testimony speaks for itself. He can easily refute it by granting my request. Say Tyrion Cuthbert's hair is green, witness. You said it yourself. Tyrion Cuthbert's hair is green. That's not what I asked for, witness. Repeat the statement I told you, word for word, nothing after or before it, smart-ass demon. Your Honor, the prosecution's argument is absurd. The witness is not obligated to justify an outrageous request. I might be compelled to agree with you, Miss Tamura, if the witness wasn't clearly avoiding fulfilling that request. Well, we're all waiting, Marunif. You can easily prove me wrong by repeating my statement plainly. Ah, you filthy heavensborn. Say it, Marunif. Tyrion Cuthbert's. Tyrion Cuthbert hair is. Tyrion Cuthbert's hair is. Blonde. Wow, he really couldn't say it. I expected him to explode. Well, technically, it's a dirty blonde. Oh, shut up. Is Mr. Cuthbert correct, Marunif? Are you actually unable to lie? I think his silence speaks for itself, Your Honor. Remarkable. I would have never imagined. And with that, proving my case becomes much simpler matter. Marunif, did you murder William Frege? I'm sure you understand, witness. Under these circumstances, staying silent is basically an admission of guilt. You have no reason to stay quiet, Marunif. Tell him the truth. Lady Beatrice, what are you? I believe it's time to come clean. Don't you, Marunif? I see. So that's your play. Don't think you can just stall for time, Miss Frege. Marunif has no choice but to answer the question. Do it, Marunif. Tell the court the truth. To answer your question, yes, I did murder William Frege. What are you doing? Miss Frege, does this mean you are confessing to the murder? Oh, Your Honor, I'm not admitting to anything. This confession comes from Marunif himself. But your own familiar, Jess. Let me ask you a question, Marunif. Did I order you to murder my father? No, you did not, Lady Beatrice. What are you talking about? You're lying, aren't you? Demons are physically unable to lie, Mr. Cuthbert. Whoa, she got freaky face all of a sudden. Damn it, she's right. She must have done something. Did she plan for this? She must have arranged things so that the statement would be technically true. She could have asked someone else to give the order, or she could have just implied it. Either way, she can just plead ignorance and blame everything on Marunif. Still, this isn't over. Oh, is that so? Let me tell you, this trial was over the moment Arya turned her blade against me. I don't care who you are, man, king, or demon, you are not going to get away with this. Oh, I do love the gravities behind that, but I wonder how long it will last. Hit me with your best shot, Heavensborn. Oh wait, this is argument. Oh shit. Beatrice Frege, you may not have technically ordered your father's murder, but you are clearly acting with malice. You brought something dangerous into the manor, something that you knew would harm your father. Oh really? And what would that be? I didn't bring anything dangerous into the Frege manor. You brought Marunif. You brought Marunif into Frege Manor that night. You were clearly planning to murder your father from the start. Ha! I require Marunif to see. That does not imply lethal intent. But you brought a demon into the house, and as a result, your father was killed. That's hardly an innocent mistake. My client specifically asked her father if familiars were allowed. We even received a written legal confirmation beforehand. But he couldn't have possibly expected her to bring a demon. He didn't specify not to do this. The presence of Marunif did not break any of his rules, nor any laws made by the kingdom. Right you are, Tamura. I can hardly be blamed if my familiar acts without my knowledge. How can you be blameless of Marunif's actions? He's your familiar. By that same logic, shouldn't we also blame Lord Haraldson for the actions of his pet monkey? If I recall, he broke into the study, tampered with the crime scene, and then left my father's body without reporting it. Marunif and Eugene are intelligent and sentient creatures. They have their own autonomy. Their keepers aren't legally responsible for their actions. Damn it, she's playing devil's advocate, but she supposes that's fitting for her. But, oops. But you still cast invisibility to keep Marunif hidden that night. Mr. Cuthbert, I always cast invisibility on Marunif. I can't very well let people see him. Face it, Mr. Cuthbert, you have nothing on me. I did not commit any crimes during the Lord's Ball. Every crime related to the murder was committed by Marunif. What about the sword? What is this? Beatrice, Marunif required your magic to break the wards guiding the Sword of Spell Eating. You may be able to explain why you cast invisibility that night, but you can't explain why you cast an evocation spell powerful enough to shatter that display case. Oh, that? I'd almost forgotten. I plead guilty. What? To the charge of grand theft, I mean. I ordered Marunif to help me steal that artifact so I could sell it on the black market. I would have never imagined that he'd use it to murder my father. Right, it doesn't matter if she's found guilty of stealing the sword. The Slayer rule only takes effect if she's found to be responsible for her father's death. Damn it, is there seriously nothing you can do? Marunif will take the fall on Beatrice's behalf. He can't lie. That doesn't matter. Marunif, the sentence for first-degree murder is death. Are you really willing to die for your keeper's crimes? Oh, you stupid Heavensborn. Demons never truly die. When our bodies are destroyed, we return to the abyssal hells. Hell. If I were to die in accordance with your laws, I would only return to my plane unharmed. What? Even if I could die, a fate much worse than death awaits me if I fail. Ugh. Those three are a pain to argue against when they're together. You can't break Beatrice's confidence at all. So, do you have anything else, Mr. Cuthbert? I didn't think so. Oh, thank you for the hydrate, Lila. I can't believe you killed my father, Marunif. I'm so cross with you. I should give my apologies. I won't do it again. Don't worry, I forgive you. Now then, is there any reason why this trial hasn't ended already, Your Honor? Come on, don't you have anything else? I'm trying to think. There is one thing. Damn it, not again. Oh, is that all you can do now? Glare at me? What? What the fuck just happened? Marunif, what did you just do? I've been watching him. He's been using an old celestial trick. But it's weak. Your divine gaze won't work here, Heavensborn. You... It looks like that was your last piece, Cuthbert. No, this can't be how it ends. Not after you come this far. What is that you like to say in these situations? Checkmate, Cuthbert. You did not just use my... Well, I have to say, this is one of the more eventful trials I've overseen. It was many things, if not enlightening. But I suppose it all ended the same. Come on, think of something. Anything. While I find the defendant's actions quite suspect, I must agree with their argument. None of Miss Frega's actions that night are illegal under Wyverngard law. There's no proof that the defendant is responsible for her familiar's actions. With these revolutions, I see no room for debate. We'll be taking a brief recess. I will announce my verdict once we resume. Damn it, is this seriously how it's going to end? After everything you've gone through to get here? The world is bleak, merciless, and unforgiving. But I've seen you. I know how bright the light within you is. Use my eyes. Peer beyond the divine gate as I once did. Marunif called you a Heavensborn. And your mother told you that there's a light within you. You have no idea what that means. What even is the divine gate? Why do you have the Eye of Horus? Why are you able to read people's minds? You've been so lost lately, but you thought you finally figured out who you were supposed to be. But all of this, everything you've been working towards, it was all a lie. You spent your whole life trying to be like Miss Tamora. But is she even like her? No, she just wanted to raise you into a tool for the eye taker. She was never your guardian. She was never your mother. Your real mother died years ago. Was Eris right? Is everyone in your life just trying to use you? Looking back on it, you've had no idea what to do with yourself since your mother died. You've just been making mistake after mistake. Leaving a Runix, trusting Tamora, becoming an attorney. You've always just done as you're told. You never once made a path for yourself. But you saved Celeste, and Wallace, and Drac again. All when no one else would stand up for them. Was helping them a mistake? You fought for a demon. You fought for a dream that doesn't exist. But that doesn't mean that you can't make it real. It's true that you followed Tamora's lead. But you always done what you thought was right above anything else. You wouldn't have stood up to that criminal if you truly didn't know right from wrong. And you wouldn't be standing here if you'd just done as you were told. What do I do? I'm not going to tell you that. You already know the answer. You've always known the answer. You take a deep breath and relax your thoughts. How do you prove that Beatrice ordered Marunif? Situations can seem hopeless sometimes, but there's always a way to win in the end. That was weird. There we go. In order to convict Beatrice, I need to prove that she was responsible for Marunif's actions. People leave trails. Even when they think they've committed a perfect crime, something always gets left behind. There has to be something that proves Beatrice gave Marunif the order. Beatrice's relationship with Marunif is clearly different than a relationship between two humans. Demons are the pact. Specific way their relationship works. Their connection is facilitated through a pact. Is that the right word? There's a specific way the relationship works, or their pact, as Marunif calls it. Wasn't there something that someone said, but what was it? What's his fuck? Harold Haraldson. Now I gotta go find him. Right, the sort of spell eating is said to have been forged using a pact between a demon and a mage. Isn't making a pact with a demon just asking for trouble? They'd definitely betray you the first chance they got. Well, legends say that demons often drafted blood contracts for this reason. Oh wait, do you mean like legally binding document? The concept is similar, but once you sign a blood contract, both you and the demon are magically compelled to fulfill its terms. That's right, Beatrice must have made a blood contract with him. A legally binding document like that must describe how their relation works. LaFay did tell you that Beatrice would never trust someone that she couldn't control. So she would only put herself in a situation where she had full control over Marunif's actions. But it's not as if they'll ever show it to me. It would be a tall order to even prove that blood contract even exists. I guess you have a point. But if you ask me, I think you've done a wonderful job so far. So just this once, let me guide you the rest of the way. What? Guide me the rest of the way? Where are you guiding me? Tyrion, your eyes don't actually read minds. They give you the means to reveal truths that are being concealed. You can pull the truth out of anyone and anything. The truth. So, say it together with me. Marunif, dweller of Avernus. Wait, what are you doing? By the Eye of Horus, I issue upon you a divine edict. Release thy guards and manifest your blood contract with Beatrice Frege. Whoa! It's a legal document written in blood. It's also 50 pages long. Luckily, you somehow know the excerpt of the exact section you need. Marunif is prohibited from killing or injuring any and all humans. Beatrice Frege can designate individuals that are exempt from this rule. An exempted individual only remains so for 24 hours. After that, Marunif cannot harm them unless told otherwise. Oh. You did it, but how? Was that really your... No, that's not important right now. She gave you what you needed. The rest is up to you. What in the 9 hells was that? When did you learn to... Mr. Cuthbert, what just happened? Your Honor, I just made the witness manifest their blood contract. You did what? Blood contract? You can think of it as a legally binding document. It lays out the terms of the pact between Beatrice Frege and her familiar. Incredible. Where did you learn how to do such a thing? Library? Wow, to think that our kingdom had access to such knowledge. Yeah, I'm not buying it. How did you really find out how to do that? It's a long story. You're not sure if she believed you even if you told her. Anyways, the defense's argument is such. Marunif was acting alone and the defendant is not to blame for his actions that night. However, take a look at page 7 of this blood contract. It specifies that Marunif is prohibited from killing any and all humans. There's only one scenario where he can do so, and that's when Beatrice Frege designates someone to be exempt from this rule. You. Beatrice Frege, you didn't directly order Marunif to kill your father, but you implied it by telling Marunif that he could kill him. Not only that, you did so within the 24 hours of the Lord's Ball. Your intent was clear. You brought Marunif into Frege Manor with full knowledge that he could and would kill William Frege. And that is checkmate. Just when I thought the surprises were over. But in the end, we arrived at the truth. I suppose I can't disagree with that. What do you have to say for yourself, Lady Frege? Do not call me that. It's almost funny that you hate your name that much. Your entire plan depended on your claim to the Frege estate. Do you have any idea what you've just cost me? Everything has been ruined because of you. Why should I care? You're just another noble, trying to steal power for yourself. Don't you dare lump me together with those tyrants. We wouldn't have just liberated House Frege, we would have liberated everyone. Miriam, LaFay, Arya, even Aster. Our system is broken. The only way we can fix it is by burning it down from the inside. As long as King Oliver sits on the throne, the suffering will only continue. But Lady Frege, as the prosecutor, I should warn you, you don't want to add treason to your list of crimes. Even though you'd like to see the king ousted as much as she does. It doesn't matter, I'm done either way. Heavensborn, look at page 46 of the blood contract. By accepting this pact, Beatrice Frege forever binds her soul to the abyssal hells. If Beatrice Frege fails to pay her debt by claiming House Frege and all of its assets, her soul, her mind, and her life will be claimed by the Empress of Discord? The contract goes on to name several parts of House Frege's holdings. There's very little room for ambiguity. Arya was almost right. She just jumped to the wrong conclusion. My debts were never to the Eye Taker. It was to the abyssal hells. Why would you agree to something like this? Because I miscalculated. In this photo are records of your many plots against House Steelwind and the Crown. It would be a shame if this information fell into their hands. You think this feeble attempt at blackmail will frighten me? I've dealt with far more formidable adversaries than you. There's nothing I can't solve with House Frege's resources. Man, he dresses like a pompous asshole, and he looks like one too. What are you talking about? Lucio Steelwind isn't the type of person you can just buy. It's clear your time away has taught you nothing. Everyone can be bought. Before I left, he controlled every aspect of my life. I saw him as this unstoppable, tyrannical force. But I never even considered one possibility, that William Frege was a sheltered moron. He honestly thought he could pay off Lucio Steelwind? Anyone who's met him would know that would never work. I could have sent this information to Steelwind and the king, but I was running out of time. I needed to inherit House Frege as soon as I could. I felt trapped. I felt angry. I just wanted something to change. Something about this feels wrong. Something deep inside you is crying out in anger. A blood contract is still a legal contract, isn't it? What? If it's a contract, we can dispute it. We can find some kind of loophole to get you out of it. What? Trying to redeem the enemy you just defeated? You really are a heavens-born. I'm sorry, Mr. Cuthbert, but I won't accept your help. What? Why? We can at least try, right? Did you seriously come this far just so you could die? To dispute a blood contract is to bet your own soul. If you fail to render it null, your soul will be dragged to hell alongside hers. Even your divine blood won't save you from that fate. But still, I can't just... You've beaten me, Mr. Cuthbert. I don't want to drag anyone else down with me anymore. Not you, not LaFay, not Miriam. Despite everything, I still have my dignity. I believe there's no further need to prolong this trial. Bailiff, please escort Lady Freyga and her familiar to a holding cell. I'll be passing my verdict shortly. I did not like that. Hey, are you okay? Yeah, as okay as I can be. You still feel uneasy about how things turned out. It doesn't feel quite like the victory you were hoping for. You fought against the demons, and you can't help but feel like you lost. Cuthbert, we need to talk. What's done is done, but the boss isn't going to take kindly to what you've done today. I know it's a long shot, but maybe if you talk to him, he'll know. Cuthbert, this is serious. He's going to send people after you. Dangerous people. You can't just ignore this. How old were you when your real mother was executed? 10 years old? Tamora was the adult in that situation. And what did she do? She fed your anger and hatred for the nobility, instead of allowing you to process your grief healthily. Tamora took you away from your only friends and isolated you from society. As a result, you never formed any other relationships. She isolated you because she wanted to use you. Please just listen to me and shut up. Tyrion? How could you do this? How could you work with criminals? Cuthbert, everything you told me, all those ideals about protecting the weak, it was all a lie. Everything Commander White said about you is true, isn't it? I'm just trying to. I don't want your help. As you yell at her, your voice echoes throughout the lobby. Several of the people nearby turn silent. I gave up everything for you. My childhood, my home, my happiness. I left it all behind to chase the idea that you told me you were fighting for. But it was never real, was it? You made me throw away everything. There's that word again I can't say. All for a lie. But I'll make it real. And I'll do it without you. Tyrion, As she reaches her hand out to you, you step away from her. You never cared about me, did you? All you cared about was using the Eye of Horus. That's not... Shut up. I don't want to hear any more of your damn lies. Go away. Get the hell away from me. I never want to see you again. Without a word, she walks away from you. Tyrion. She reaches out her hand to hold yours again, but she hesitates this time. Do you honestly think Celeste will ever love you? I'm sure you understand now. Tamora can only afford to pay her exorbitant salary because of my father. You've already burned that bridge, so where do you think the Crimson Demon will go when he can't afford her services anymore? Do you think she has the luxury of playing around with you for free? Or did you actually think that she enjoys spending time with you? Tyrion, you have to look at this rationally. Any support or affection that she's given you has only been to keep you as an employer. No. What? I can't believe it. We actually won. Tyrion, Celeste, there's no way for you to avoid checkmate next turn. Just surrender. There, what about that? Checkmate. Damn it! You've been acting weird since we arrived in Arunix. Does it have something to do with your mother? Please, just talk to me. I'm your friend, aren't I? Your hands are trembling. Why are you so scared right now? You feel Celeste hold your trembling hand from behind you. It's the same sensation you felt back then. Your anxiety fades and you take a deep breath. I'm not going to do that, Miss Tomorrow. As she hesitates to hold your hand, you reach out and grasp it. She smiles as you take a hold of it. She seems glad you didn't pull away this time. Without thinking, you pull her into a hug. Huh? Sorry, I just really need this right now. Should I stop? No, it's just... people are staring at us. Who cares what they think? They're nobles. They're going to hate us no matter what we do. Aww. You're still unsure of what you're going to do next, but perhaps you don't need to, even if tomorrow's idea was a lie. Hey Celeste, there's been something I've been wanting to tell you about. What is it? It's hard to explain, really. I don't even know where to begin. But it's about an ability I have. I call it the Eye of Horus. Even if that idea was a lie, you have the power to make it real. And even if you can't trust Tamora anymore, you have people in your life that you can trust. Oh, that was cute. I didn't like that ending to that court case that we basically sentenced her to hell. Huh? What a fun mess this is. That kid has completely and utterly ruined everything. As much as Tamora hates it, we're going to need to put him in the ground. I don't think that will be necessary. Sorry, love. I know you're fond of him, but I can't let an insult like this go unanswered. He's going to have to pay the price. I think you've misunderstood me, Father. I meant that this facade is no longer necessary. The hell is that sound? What the hell? Is something wrong, Father? So you're not his daughter. Who the hell are you? You look nothing like my daughter, so why? It happened centuries ago, I believe. Your great ancestor hated the monarchy and needed a weapon to fight the mages of the noble house. So he made a pact with me. What are you talking about? But things didn't turn out like he wanted, I'm afraid. Poor Lord Leyren's plot was discovered, and his noble house was stripped of its rank and status. His very name was stricken from the annals of history. He was supposed to give me Wyverngard, but I had to settle for claiming his bloodline. Leyren? How do you know about my name? No one knew about that name, not even my real daughter. I know it's been centuries, but I haven't forgotten, John. Everyone in your bloodline belongs to me, including your daughter. You bastard, what did you do to her? What I do to all my prey, I made her suffer. No. Did you know that she was crying out for you for months? I made her watch, you know. I made her watch as I took her place. All while the father that she so desperately called out for forgot who she was. What the fuck? All while my minions slowly and painfully tore her soul apart. You monster. You motherfucking monster. I enjoyed her torment while it lasted, but even that couldn't satisfy me. What I really crave is the blood of a Celestial. That's what this is about? That stupid kid? But I can't have you kill my dear Tyrion just yet. At least not until I'm done with him. You fucking demon, I'll kill you. This man is your enemy. Your life's goal is and always has been to exact revenge on him. What the hell are you talking about? I lost everything because of you. They kicked me out of the Inquisition because of your false testimony. What? Let go of me. You killed my entire family. I won't let you get away with this. What are you talking about? I didn't do anything. Hey, isn't that the noble who killed all of those children? I heard he got released by paying off the judge. What are you talking about? Get away from me. Don't lie to us. We know what you did. No, stay away. Ah! We've finally entered the final act, my dearest Tyrion. And from what I've seen, I think I know exactly how I'm going to break you. I hope you're just as excited as I am. So... we have a single chapter left, guys. And Eris has killed off 2 people so far. Okay. That did not end. I sad. Why are you sad?